Welcome to One Season Wonder, the podcast where we dig into the shows that didn't last but definitely left a mark. And today, that mark feels more like an open wound. This is it, the final stop in our journey through Firefly. And we're going out with Serenity, the feature film that tried to give us closure, but mostly gave us trauma. Today, I'm leading the charge. And let's just say Jamison and Christopher are big mad. Really big mad. If you thought they had opinions before, buckle up. There's chaos, there's heartbreak, and there's a moment that broke us on a cellular level. Let's get into Serenity. It's the One Season Wonder podcast with Christopher, Jamison, and Talon.
I think it's funny. This is something different on top of what I was going to say already, but I fucking hated this the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, no wonder it was 1 season long. Hated it. Like, I was so uninterested. I fell asleep the first time we tried to watch it through, and I was just so uninterested. I was like, what the fuck, right? And now I'm so fucking mad that it's over. And I'm so sad because I love it so
You know what's even super extra sad is even if they said, okay, pretend the movie doesn't exist, and they decided, oh, let's just go ahead and do a season 2 and do it over again, there would be no Shepard. Ron Glass has passed away.
Right. I mean, there's so much that would be different.
In real life.
Really?
Yeah.
I had no idea.
I was going to say, though, initially to start this off, I'm glad that he doesn't remember, but the fact that Christopher doesn't remember this movie.
I don't.
He has seen this movie. I said it to him last night. We got in bed and it crossed my mind. And I was like, how did you not remember this movie? But I'm glad that he didn't because it would have set up the whole show differently for him, to not know. But it's like, how do you watch that and not remember it?
I still watched it without having the backstory.
That's what he said.
Nothing at all.
Right. That's what he said too.
It was just a sci-fi flick.
Yeah.
And I was like, it's kind of weird.
He's not emotionally invested in it like he is now because he's been through all of the shows.
I wish I didn't remember the movie again.
Just give it a little bit of time.
I wish I had saved the audio from last night that you guys sent me. Okay, so everybody knows. I watched the show by myself. They watch it together, but they are not to talk to each other when they watch the episode. Or to me, while they're watching it, they don't like.
We're technically not supposed to talk at all, but sometimes
it's
hard.
Silence.
Like last
night, as they were watching it, I got these texts from Jamison. She sent me, "Fuck this stupid ass movie. What the fuck?"
And that was within like the first few minutes.
No. This
was near the end.
This is during. I'm sure the one part I'm certain of is the part because that part. The other one I was super bummed about, but that one shocked me. I was like, "Fuck, what the fuck?" Anyway, and then I said, "Did you finish it?" And you said, "No." And then sad face, mad face. And then from Christopher, I got maybe your first one to me was a voice recording because I think
because he's
you said something, but I just can't remember what it was that you said. You would know because it should be in your thing because it's in our group chat.
I'm recording
that's right.
It was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it was something like
that. And then Jamison wrote with all caps, "Leave us alone." More sad face, heartbreak. And then Christopher said, "I'm never podcasting again."
I think the first recording was, "I don't even want to watch this movie anymore" or something.
Yes, that's what it was. I don't want to watch this movie anymore.
Yeah.
And then I said, "Yeah, it was fucking rough." And then Jamison said, "We're going to be a 1 season wonder ourselves." And then Christopher sent me the
Weston
used to love these, the casket guys.
Yeah.
And whatever. So, this will be an interesting little ride here.
I don't want to. We're just like,
we just started.
Fair. No, I know, but it's like we just went through the trauma of it last night just to talk about the trauma again tonight. It's like we're just here, really feel it.
And I truly feel I would rather have not watched the movie and just ended the show.
I know, I would have been happier.
Yeah, not knowing.
The movie made it worse.
It did.
And it was a really like well-made movie.
It was.
Yeah, it was
see
crazy to
that.
see
Yeah.
it that way.
You could see like how much better the
Quality
production, the
was
effects,
and
and everything.
everything.
Like it was.
Although I do like the somewhat grittiness of the show.
Yeah,
But this was
I do too.
a very polished movie
Right.
look to it. And It
Yeah.
was so weird to see.
Like the colors and everything were
Yeah.
like so much. Like the TV show was very brown. I feel
Yeah,
like
it was.
looking, but there's so much. You could see so much more color
It was like everything was
in the
gritty.
movie. Yeah, but it went along with the show, so it
Right.
it like made sense. It wasn't.
But it also makes sense because the dude directed the Avengers.
Yeah.
He was a writer, whatever he was.
Yeah.
But like, I could definitely see like the similarity
So
with.
this dude has
the movie
money
and
to
that.
redo this.
Well, he actually. So I read in my fun facts that aren't fun. He decided not to make a second movie because he was focusing on the Avengers.
Oh.
And I reckon they're going to be making that until like 2040. So who cares?
There's so many of them.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and get into it. So the movie opens with someone explaining the world as they live now. The Earth's become overpopulated. They talk about the whole terraforming. And when they were doing this, I thought it was like the regular opening. And I was like, whose voice is that? Because because you know how the regular opening, they always have Shepard or Mal talking about how we
Mhm.
got to this point.
Yeah.
Well, it was basically the same kind of thing. And I was like, whose voice is that? And I was like, I know the voice, and I know it because of a different TV show, Bones, but I didn't recognize it for this. So I was like, who the fuck is that?
Yeah. But it was kind of like the opening scene was kind of like if you hadn't watched this
Right. Yeah.
TV
It's
show,
for
it's kind of
everybody.
like this is what
Which was
is
like
going
me
on. Yeah.
when I watched it.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So basically, she's just going through that and how they found a solar system and they terraformed all the planets and moons so they could live on it. Anyway, we see a classroom of kids, and little River is in the back. And you can tell just by how she is that she's different from the other kids.
Right.
Basically, the teacher was talking about why would anybody want to fight the Alliance and not
Right.
live in a perfect, nice, perfect, great world or whatever.
Right. Which is like what they're gonna say, obviously.
Right. River was her only finally response. She says something. She says, "Because we meddle," and the teacher was like, "We don't meddle. Like, what do you mean?" And she's like, "Nobody likes to be meddled with," is what River says. She's like, "You basically try to tell us what to think," and the teacher's like, "We don't tell you what to think. We tell you how to think." And then she takes a pencil and shoves it into her forehead. And then we realize that River's just having like a flashback, and she's locked down on a chair in some scientific lab. And these guys are doing all kinds of stuff to her.
And that shit was like, we were both like, oh God.
Oh yeah, as soon as it switched, we were like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you hear this guy talking off camera that you can't see to the scientist, and the scientist is just explaining to this guy what they're doing and how what they're doing is helping her or helping them. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And they basically are implanting thoughts, and they monitor her subconscious, and that they say that even though there's side effects, it's a pretty spectacular one. It's pretty spectacular in how everything works, and that the main thing they have to worry about is her psychosis, which
Mhm.
Jamison was very happy to hear.
For being nutty.
Yeah. So the guy, we finally see him. It's Simon.
And I lost my shit.
Yeah.
I was like, what movie are we watching?
Yeah.
This is when you messaged me the first time?
Yeah, because I noticed
First time?
I noticed who it was before he did, and it took him a really long time. And I looked back at him and I said, "Do you see who that is?" And he's like, "What the fuck?" And he was like so mad, and I was like, "Just wait." Like,
Yeah.
Because at
Yeah.
first I was confused. I was like, did they get her again? And he's just going back in to get her now?
right?
But really, it was a flashback even more
Yeah.
because this is just when he first got her.
And they never explained like how they got her out of it. So
Well, that's
They
how he
did.
got her out of it.
They
This
did.
is
Right, right.
that scene.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
like in the show, it never was like
It's never explained
Oh,
how he got
Right,
her out
right.
of the alliance.
Right,
This
right,
is his.
and I guess this was how it happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at first I was like, what are we fucking watching?
Yeah.
So he's there in disguise as somebody from Parliament or somewhere, like or something congressionally.
hmm
And the guy's talking to him about all and how they basically weaponized her and made her into a weapon, and they can control her for the most part, except for the psychosis she kind of has sometimes. So at one point, Simon says, because he said something about I can't remember what the scientist said, but Simon said, "Yeah, she did always love to dance." And the scientist is like, "Wait, what?" And that Simon had this cane. And he turned around, he ducked down, he slammed the cane on the ground, which had this little thing on top that sent out this electronic frequency or bolt or whatever.
Mm.
And it was high enough to where everybody that was standing got hit by it and knocked out.
Right.
But he and River were low enough to where it didn't bother them.
Mhm.
So he goes and he gets her undone and he goes over to look out the window. Go ahead.
Well, it was a thing. That was like apparently a nod to her actually being a dancer. In real
Oh
life.
yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say that too, and I thought that was kind of funny that they put that in there. But it also kind of goes back to like, remember the episode where she goes through the woods to where all those people are, and then she starts dancing
yeah.
with them. I think
Okay.
it kind of all connects, but it is
It's
cool
almost
that
like, what?
that it
Yeah.
connects to like her
Connects
real
him
life.
out to that
Yeah.
midsummer place.
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
But I thought it was cool too because I thought the same thing right away. Is that it's a nod to her actual life.
And her character.
Right. Yeah.
So Simon's looking out the window to look and see if the coast is clear, I guess. And River is suddenly right behind him. And she says, they know you've come. And then it cuts to where they're escaping out to the hallway. They're going out. She does this Spider-Man move.
Yeah.
She goes up the wall and then she's like got her legs spread
Just like
apart.
hella parkour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Super part and flexible, really
Yeah.
flexible. But she's got her legs spread out so that they're holding her up on the wall, and then she's holding onto a sprinkler up on the ceiling. And I was like, damn. Okay. They end up getting into what I figured was like an elevator shaft or some kind of
Yeah,
silo.
it was kind of weird.
I wasn't really sure what it was because it was open at the top.
Right. Wasn't it open on both sides though?
Well, the bottom went down to who knows what. There was some crazy stuff down there, but the top.
But it's
went
weird
to
because
sky.
that thing comes down though too, and it's like,
Yeah.
did he set that up somehow? Did she set that
Yeah,
up?
those are the people that were helping him. To
Oh
escape.
yeah, that's right.
So they get into this elevator shaft or this silo of some sort, and they close the door. And then, of course, the Alliance people are at the door and they're banging on it and trying to shoot through it. There's a little blast there. And then you see up and you see a ship up there. And it's funny because at first I thought, because I was still thinking that this was present time.
Like,
and I was like, is that the Firefly? It looks so weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, why does it look like that? And they lower down this thing that they get on. And then as they're going up, all of a sudden you hear this voice say, okay, stop, backtrack. And then it switches and there's this man and he's watching a video of them, but it's a hologram. And so he stops it right where they're on being pulled up.
Right.
And he can like walk through it. It's a hologram.
Futuristic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's looking at it. The imagery winds. He watched it again. So then the man who is identified as a parliament official, the lab scientist guy who got knocked out before, shows up with two other dudes. And he's trying to explain what happened and insists he had no idea Simon was a plant and that he must have paid off a bunch of people in order to help him out to get him into this area. And he was like, how would I know that this is a plant? And then the parliament guy says Simon infiltrated successfully because of love, not because of madness. Because the guy accused him that he was mad. He had some part of madness, but it was love. And he said love is worse, is harder to deal with than madness is. So then the parliament man tells the scientist his mistake was pride and replays the part where the scientist says to Simon that he had already had a bunch of key parliament members come in and observe River. And the man says, you had top level parliament people in the room with a psychic, which is kind of dumb.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So the scientist insists River may not even be aware that she picked anything up from these people, like top secret shit. And the assassin says most men would fall on their sword for a mistake like this. And the scientist replies, I didn't bring my sword. And the assassin pulls out a sword.
I did.
So, and then the assassin, the parliament guy is an assassin.
Right.
I don't know if he's actually with parliament or if he's just an assassin hired by parliament, alliance. I don't know.
I think he's with them.
Okay.
Like completely like under their instruction kind of.
From here on, I pretty much call him the assassin. I might sometimes call him parliament assassin. But he pulls out a sword and he kills the other people that are there. And the scientist, of course, is running off. And there was a girl there who was like a receptionist who was taking notes. She's trapped. She's like, oh shit. And she's trying to run off too. And this part was, I thought, cool as fuck. I really like this part. So he gets up behind the scientist and he sticks his hand in this part of his lower side back area and just freezes him in his spot. Whatever he did, he hit some nerves that totally made him unable to move, but he was still standing.
And he just like,
yeah. And so then the parliament assassin guy is talking to the lady and he says, I need this, 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 and this. Get these things for me right now. And she's like, he's like, get them for me. And he took and he gets down on the ground and he has the sword so that it's sticking up at an angle this way. And he's just holding it as he's talking to this woman. And all of a sudden the guy finally falls over and falls right on the sword. And it's a slow fall.
Yeah.
It's like on that sword, just slowly going down. To the point where he's
that
still
was a
like,
Saving Private Ryan kind of thing where it's like,
so, and the guy's able to talk to him still because he's still aware until he completely dies. But he's like, this is a good way to go. Basically, it's a proper way to go, or something like that.
And this fucking so in IMDb he's listed as the operative.
Oh, okay.
Or whatever he is.
I think it's kind of interesting too that he killed the scientist, just because like he's probably the head scientist of the Alliance. Do we really want to take that guy out? Like, he could just do it to somebody else, if we kept him around. I mean, I'm sure they probably have other people that are close to like the same level as him, but
I guess
don't
it
know.
feels like he can't be trusted to make good decisions.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense too. So,
all right, so then we cut to the Firefly, and they're entering into a planet's atmosphere. Mal and Wash are on the bridge dealing with turbulence and some crazy shit. So Mal leaves the bridge, walks past Jane, asking why he's armed to the teeth. Jane says, "You never know what might happen." And he also has a couple of grenades, and Mal's like, no grenades. Leave them here. Yeah. Mal goes to the engine room to talk with Kaylee. He stops with Simon and says, "Oh, I guess I need to get inoculated." But Simon is pissed and all angry because Mal's taking River on this mission. And of course, Mal defends it by saying she's a reader, which I guess is what they call psychics there.
Right.
And Simon's like, all ballsy, because you know how he gets when his sister's involved.
Right.
He's like super ballsy with Mal telling him what he can and cannot do. And of course, Mal's like, "Motherfucker, this is my ship. You cannot tell me what to do."
And I felt like their dialogue, like that's why I'm confused about the timeline. Because Simon's talking to Mal like this is anything new.
Right.
And he's being ballsy, and like it makes sense for the movie to like fill in the people that don't know. But for me watching the whole show, I was like, why is he talking? Like, that wouldn't be like a standard conversation.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's happened before.
So then they get everything ready, and Mal, Rivers, Zoe, and Jane load into the mule, which is their space pod thing.
Pod racer, if you will.
Yeah. So Simon tells River if there's any trouble, if he shoots at you, duck, and to hide if there's trouble, and that you can leave these guys behind. It doesn't matter. Basically, just leave them. And Mal reassures Simon with dry sarcasm. So they're like, "I'll be sure to shed a tear if something happens, or I'll be real choked up." And they take off. So they arrive at their destination. This is a job they've been hired to do, and they're going into basically what seems like probably they're like private contractors that are hired to go out and secure the outlying planets. But anyway, so their job is to go in and get the money. So inside the facility, they have River with them to sense if there's anybody or anything weird going on or anybody to worry about. So she walks in and totally barefoot. And she's looking around, and she senses a threat and points it out to Zoe. Zoe and the guy is like going to reach for his gun, and Zoe comes up behind him and puts her gun like right beside his face.
I thought River's face too when she like kind of nodded to Zoe was kind of funny.
And the guy tosses his gun. So they get the guy that runs the place, and it's like a bar too, or something.
When you said that, I was like, I swear it was like a bar kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like a kind of weird combination of stuff.
Right. So they get this guy to open the safe, and when he opens the safe, there's like
some coins.
A few bucks, and Zoe's like, "Ooh, we can retire."
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
And then Mal kind of looks at her, and then he reaches up and he pulls a lever, and then a door opens, and you can go down the steps, and you can see that there's a vault down there. So he yells down to the guy, "Hey, we're coming down to take all your money." And the guy's like, "I need the passcode."
Yeah, he says something, and he's Jane, like, "Here's one."
And he just shoots. Yeah, Jane just shoots, and the guy's like, "Okay."
All right. Go right ahead.
Granted.
They go downstairs. They start getting the money. And it's funny because Mal's talking to the guy about the best place to shoot him because he doesn't want the guy to get in trouble from just letting him go in. So he's like, "I could shoot you in the leg." And the guy's like, No.
I know, these people are all kind of really chill considering. And only the one guy had a gun out of all of them,
Yeah.
Whatever.
But the guy's like, "Well, how about you just kind of graze?" And he's like, "No, you don't want to look like you're a coward." He's like, "That's your life." And then all this time, River, who's upstairs with Jane, has a vision. So she sees a terrifying Reaver image. And
so it's like flashing at that point, right?
Then, I don't know if she's slapped in the face. Well, the hallucination, there's something going on with her face, but she gets knocked down in real life.
It's very like
she kind of
quick and
yeah. Well, I think she kind of like falls out in this. And of course, we see it later too, but she's very affected by these like flashbacks with the Reavers because of the connection she has going on.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. It almost kind of like it takes a lot out of her almost in a way.
Jane runs over to her like, what the hell happened? And he's trying to figure out. And then she tells him what's going on. And so then Jane yells down to Mal, Reavers. And so Mal turns around and orders everyone to grab all the cash and hurry up and get outside. And you can see outside all the Reaver ships are appearing. And they get down and they're just ravishing the
Fucking
town.
shit.
They don't
Right
care.
away.
Then Mal tells the guy that's down there, he's like, get everybody who's upstairs down here and lock the door and don't go out until you're almost out of there. Then they all get up, leave, go upstairs, get on their mule. As they're driving off, this one guy from inside comes running out.
He was the guy that had the gun.
Oh, yeah, he was the guy that had the gun. Oh, yeah. So he comes running out and he wants them to take him with them. And they're like, Mal's like, no, we don't have enough room. And he runs and he jumps and grabs onto the side. And then Mal knocks him off. And he's like, get back inside in the vault. But the Reavers grab him immediately. But Mal shoots the guy dead. And the Reavers just drop him. They don't want him.
Well, because they don't want him. They don't want. They want to go through the whole process of what they like to do.
They like the hunt
them and everything.
Yeah, they like all like the way that they take people out. But that's why Mal shot him.
Oh yeah. Zoe's piloting the mule while Reavers chase them. Jane wonders why they aren't killing them outright, and Mal says Reavers prefer a slow kill. River says they want them alive to eat alive. Zoe calls Wash, reports that they're being chased. Jane runs out of ammo and tries to reload, and then realizes he put his extras in
like the fucking trunk of the pod.
Right. So he stands up to get them out, and when he does, they harpoon him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically.
It's like no better weapons of the time other than a good old harpoon.
Well, they have a shit ton of stuff on those ships because they just like take scraps and whatever they can fucking find from anything.
Right. You know, one thing I wondered though in this is if these guys are so fucking mad crazy, how do they commandeer these ships? Who's the most straight thinking Reaver that they can fly a ship?
I mean, I don't think they drive them like.
They drive them pretty good.
Yeah, they do them pretty well, but I don't know.
I don't know how because they seem crazy.
Point.
Why don't they not eat each other?
Well, that's why I say about zombies.
They don't want
Why
to eat
don't zombies eat each other?
I don't know.
I don't understand that. I guess they just like fresh meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different.
She's talking to Wash. Wash says we're going to do the barn swallow maneuver, I think is what he called it.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And basically she flies forward real fast. And at one point Mal says, see that rock formation over there? Knock into a little bit. So she knocks into those. It causes rocks to fly back, hit the Reaver ship. They do go off course for a brief period of time, enough to get them a little bit of a head start, but a little time.
Yeah.
But then they end up getting back behind them anyway. So, but she goes up, she's like, hold on, everybody. And she does like a 3-point turn, turns around, goes right towards the Reaver ship. And then I'm guessing the way it looked was Wash swooped in from behind them, came up behind. They went inside, and then he went off.
Yeah.
That's
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When they go in, they basically crash into the cargo bay. They just through. And Simon, of course, runs up. He checks on River. And she says, I swallowed a bug.
Yeah.
Which I laughed so hard. That was hilarious.
It was. Because everybody else is like, and of course they're like freaking out because like it's Reavers, right? And she's just like, I swallowed a bug. It's like a little kid that walks up to you and it's like, I threw up.
Right. And then Kaylee rushes over and looks at Simon and says, are you okay? And Mal's like, is he okay? He's been in there the whole time.
Yeah, that was funny.
Okay. So then there is this other thing that came in after them, this little thin pod.
It was part of the
Reaver ship.
Yeah.
But it was small. Anyway, all of a sudden a Reaver pops out of it.
Just one.
Surprise move, yeah. So they take care of that. But Simon and Mal get into some shit again because Simon's pissed off and he's telling him this is never going to happen again. You're not going to do this again. And Simon actually punches Mal.
Yeah.
Simon doesn't get punched. It's like, wow, he's growing. Which was a surprise move.
I will say, I felt like in the movie, Simon got a lot of balls and Mal almost kind of lost a little bit of his like
balls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought Mal was Mal.
No,
yeah,
there
I
was
just felt
some,
like he had more to deal with.
there was some moments though that I'm like, why is he
Feeling
like not being more of a douchebag like he typically is, you know? But I guess maybe it was just like
I guess it
there was so much going on that he was trying to juggle.
he was a slightly softer Mal, but I
Mm-hmm.
also, I mean, but not so much so. I still felt it was very in character for Mal.
Yeah.
Because Mal is always the one who he tries not to kill people if he can
Right.
get by
Yeah.
without killing anybody. And he's always a smart ass.
Yeah.
So I remember reading, but he says faster would be better. Basically, it was ad-libbed because the director was like, he did this like multiple times, like say something Mal would say. And so maybe he took a little different direction with the movie versus the show
Yeah.
to get you to feel that way.
Yeah.
I can't remember which line that pertained to.
They also explained that to Simon that, and it may have been Mal, but I can't remember, that River saved them by sensing the Reavers. I think it was Zoe actually that said that.
Mm-hmm.
But Simon says that they're going to be leaving. They're going to Beaumont. And he says, when we get to Beaumont, we're leaving. We're off the ship. We're done, basically. And Mal says, fine, 10 hours to go. But until then, you still need to do your job, patch up my crew. Because, of course, Jane is still hurt.
Right.
So,
which that shit would have hurt.
Yeah.
That was not just a Band-Aid thing.
Yeah.
He had a harpoon in his leg.
Yeah. Simon heads off to patch up the crew. River looks at the dead Reaver and says, he didn't lie down. They never lie down. Which that time, I didn't know what the fuck that meant.
Yeah.
I do now. But at that time, I was like, what the hell does that mean?
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me like that?
Because I don't know what that means.
Oh, okay. It comes way later.
You just didn't
know
pick up on it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. You'll
Bring
know.
it up.
So then Mal and Zoe talk privately. She says it's probably time for Simon and River to go. Zoe brings up him killing the guy that grabbed onto the ship, and she's kind of having a moment like, I don't know what you call it. I know there's a word for it, but I can't think of it. But she's almost feeling bad, of course, and guilty that they, but more on Mal's end of it. Like, why didn't you show him mercy and let him stay on the ship? And of course, Mal's explaining we don't have enough room for 5. And she's like, well, you could have got rid of the payload. And he's like, and explain that to the people we have to take this to and all that.
Right.
So
I don't want to hear shit from Zoe. I don't like her no more. I have my own opinions. It'll come up later.
Okay. Right. So, but he also says, I killed him out of mercy because the Reavers had him.
Yeah.
But she was still feeling kind of bad about it. She didn't like it. He says like, he didn't suggest. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Throw you out? Throw River out? Throw Jane out? I was like, well, I probably could have thrown Jane out, jokingly. But anyway, Mal goes on talking about how they need the money. No one's been paid. The ship's falling apart. He's like, they couldn't have gotten rid of the payload. So then back in the cargo bay, Jane talks to Kaylee about the Reavers. She says Shepard Book believes, and this is the part where I was like, why is she speaking this way about Shepard? Because of course at this point I'm still like, where is Shepard?
Yeah, I think I said the same thing. I was like, yeah, where is Shepard? As soon as she brought him up.
He's getting his hair done. Okay.
So she makes the comment that she says Shepard Book believes people go crazy from isolation in the black. And then she compares it to how the crew is falling apart as well. I guess because they're somewhat isolated, even though they're together, they're isolated from other people and stuff too.
Yeah.
And that how, Simon and River are leaving. And the next thing you know, one by one, each of us is going to leave, just like even Anara left, how he's going to end up pushing everybody away. But what she said that about Shepard, and then for the longest time, we don't see Shepard. I'm like, where the fuck is Shepard dead? I'm like, why is Shepard not here? But I was confused by that. So then we see Mal in his room, and he's watching this recording of when Anara was packing up to leave, and Kaylee was recording it, and he's just watching them have their conversation back and forth, and how Anara says she has to go. She can't do her work here on the ship, and Kaylee says that Mal wants her to stay just like everybody else, but Anara says that he doesn't know what he wants, and then Mal kind of angrily turns off the video and throws it aside. I'd be interested to know how much time it is between the last episode and the movie took place.
I'm going to say 3 months.
You think it was 3 months?
I feel like I read that and the cheat codes on IMDb.
Oh, okay.
I could be wrong. Could be spreading rumors.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure.
Let's throw back to the first episode. Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Our first episode. So they arrive on Beaumont, and everybody's leaving the ship. And Kaylee stands there in the cargo bay open door area with River and Simon, and she's basically giving them advice on how to blend in and not look like an outsider. And she's telling him, try not to be too tidy and try to look too clean.
Yeah, 'cause he's like wearing a suit.
Yeah,
whatever.
he's all like, fancy how he is.
You look like a nerd.
Then she leaves, and Simon looks at River and says, "Do you want to stay?" And River says, "It isn't safe." And he replies, "Yeah, no, it isn't safe," and walks away. And then even for me, I said, before she even said it, I said for them. And she said for them.
Mhm.
And I was like, I knew what she was going to say.
Yeah.
So now they're in a bar/casino type of place because they're meeting the guys they just did this job for.
I just want to say really quick that when they got to the spot where they got off the ship on this planet looks cool as fuck. It reminds me of like, I mean, it's very like, kind of, but I don't know. It's just very cool the way it's like set up. It looks like a cool area.
Yeah, it does. Kaylee complains to Mal about letting Simon and River go. Mal shrugs it off, basically. Kaylee says she hasn't had anyone twixt her nethers in a year. Except
something
that runs on batteries.
On a battery, yeah.
And Mal's like, I don't need to hear that. And Jane says, well, I'd like to hear more.
Yeah.
And then Mal gives a speech about wanting someone badly enough. He wouldn't let anything stop him from getting it. And she looks at him and says, tell that to Anara. And of course, she says this in front of everybody because everybody's there now.
Right. And I think me and Christopher both went, ooh.
I'm pretty sure and that's all we said was just, ooh.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I said the same thing.
It's funny, those moments, like watching the show where you can't even, we're just like, oh.
Yeah.
So now we meet the twins, Fanta maybe, and Mingo. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think.
And they're there to do business, of course. Now, when they first get there, they have to go up, not the twins, but Mal and Jane and all them. They have to go up to this place where they have to put all their lock-on weapons. They can't have them in the bar.
Yeah, and it was a weird little, like, rotary, like...
Yeah, there was something that would spin. Yeah.
And you, like, take the little key card thing out.
Right.
That, like, yours is in, kind of thing.
So just to keep in mind, because that comes up in a little while, but their guns are all away. As they're sitting there talking business, on the news, they have TV and news there, which we questioned in a previous episode. Like, do they have news? They have TVs? Like, all that. So they do. So there's a report about the vault that just got robbed, but there's no mention of the Reavers, and then River is watching. Also, I will say this too. In that news report, there's also a thing where they say something about Reavers have never been proven to exist. Because remember back in the one where they were looking for under the placemats and shit for them, and the guy from the Alliance was interviewing everybody, and he was acting. We weren't sure if he was acting like, because he was like, yeah, everybody blames the Reavers, and we were like, does he not know that they're real?
Yeah,
it seemed like he didn't think they were real.
Yeah,
and we were questioning whether they were real or
I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah,
but yeah, and the thing.
Well, they talk about it in this episode, and then of course, obviously, like later on.
But the same thing with like, there's so limited people that travel space like that.
Right.
It's like the people that came to America on boats, like the Kraken or whatever legends to like.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of thing. So the majority of the population probably has no idea that there are Reavers.
If it is or not, yeah.
Which I feel like plays into the whole reason for the
everything, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I'm still pissed at.
So River starts looking at the TV, and this Fruity Oaty bar commercial comes on.
Mm-hmm.
And they're singing and saying all this stuff, and she's just mesmerized by it. And then all of a sudden, you see her, something happens. You can see it in her face. There's a change. And she says, Miranda. And then she drops her robe. And I thought at first,
she was going to be naked.
Yeah.
She was going to be too.
I was like, is she just going to get naked? Like, why is she getting naked?
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, she just turns into a fighting machine.
Yeah.
On her own, for no reason whatsoever. She just starts obliterating every single person in there, just knocking them out and beating the shit out of them. She doesn't kill anybody, but she's absolutely beating the shit out of them. And finally, like, she's just going through this whole place. And finally, Jane and Mal notice there's a commotion, and there's like this fan. So Mal pushes the fan away, and he looks, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? Because she is like deadly. I mean, it's like crazy. Like, how did this happen? Like, where did this come from? Right. And Jane's like, what? So they're both like, what the fuck's going on? And then finally, Mal's like, Jane. And so Jane goes over to try to subdue her, and Mal goes up to try to get the guns. And he gets And he's holding on to her, and she gets out of it because she's doing all kinds of fancy shit. And she knocks the fuck out of Jane, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
Because she's so tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she picks up this one thing, this round thing, and guts him with it and whacks him in the head.
Yeah.
And then finally, Mal up top, he gets the gun out and he pulls it out and points it at her. And she has a gun and she points it at him. And then finally, Simon walks in and says something in Chinese, and she just drops.
Nope.
Nope. She doesn't say anything in Chinese.
This is my one fun fact.
Oh, okay.
So it's his code word, right?
Right.
That he learned from the Alliance to subdue her fucking Jetly
It's a safe word.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, safe word. It's Russian,
Oh.
right? Weird.
Well, this guy.
True. Good point. So I didn't understand. I could be spreading rumors. I'm going right off IMDb. So
Okay.
if I'm wrong, it's their fault, not mine.
Okay.
It's supposed to translate into something along the lines of, this is very ridiculous. I'm being real. It says it literally
Literally?
means this is for hens to laugh, which I don't know if Russians have like a weird way of saying things. I don't know many Russians, but apparently it's they said it's Russian, and they said that's how it's literally translated. Literally.
Interesting.
And I could
That's
be wrong. It could be,
hilarious.
I don't know.
I mean, that is kind of funny. If that's what it is, like,
Yes.
this is ridiculous.
But it would make
Cut it out.
sense. But like,
You're
why
being
wouldn't it-
ridiculous.
I feel like Chinese, it's too commonly known. So it
Oh,
does
So
make sense.
it
for
does
be
make sense for them to
another
do a
language.
different language.
That
So
makes
then
sense.
not anybody can like say any of those people in there heard Simon say it, they'd be like, what? You know, like,
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
what if
they'd all be
somebody
like that.
accidentally says the
Right.
Right.
This
Start
is,
laughing.
this is ridiculous.
yeah. So that does make sense that it's a different it's
So,
not
yeah,
Chinese.
It's
So they
right.
chose a
Apparently,
different
there are no Russians
throughout the whole universe.
out there.
Yeah.
So she passes out, and then Mal goes over and lifts her up and walks, and they walk away and they leave. We see a brief moment where the assassin guy watches a clip of Mal picking River up in the bar, and he runs a
Yeah.
scan to identify him. So
Yep.
they know
Right.
who he is. Then back on the ship, Mal handcuffs River to a grate inside a little
A
door,
little side room.
side room that's off the dining room.
And I was having my silly thought to myself, how would he feed the handcuffs through the grate to come back up?
Yeah, I don't know.
Couldn't happen.
Well, no.
Just saying.
Did he do it like that? I think he just cuffed her and then cuffed it around the grate. He cuffed one
Oh,
end
did
of the
he?
grate and then one. He didn't go
Oh,
through
okay.
the thing.
Oh,
and then-
yeah.
If that's the case, then yeah, I way over
Oh,
because
okay.
I was like, that doesn't make any sense.
Sounds like
at
a
all.
conspiracy theory to me.
Something like that. Like he didn't really handcuff her to the grate.
No, it's all an illusion. The Russians did it. So then after he handcuffs her and he closes the door, he demands answers from Simon. Simon explains that River was programmed to shut down with the phrase,
The safe word.
the safe word.
This is very ridiculous.
Jane is freaking out when Simon
Like,
says it
first-
because he's like, don't say it now.
Oh, yeah.
It's always like, it only works on her. And also it calms her down. It doesn't turn her on.
Yeah, like why would
Or them on.
So I'm like, it's good to know.
Yeah.
right.
So Mal's, of course, angry, accusing Simon of endangering everyone there. He's like, you've known this whole time, and we've led her around this crew, not knowing what could happen. At any moment, she could just turn, and we wouldn't know what the hell's going on.
No.
So, of course, Simon is defending himself against it, but he's also requests to see River, and finally Mal gives in and lets him go see River. So Simon visits River.
I felt like it was very like Mal didn't really want to by their exchange.
Uh-huh.
He basically gave him like a head nod. And,
Right.
like that was it.
Yeah.
So he was like,
And he just stepped to the side and Yeah.
Mhm.
So Simon goes in to see River. She's aware that people are afraid of her and believes they should be. She knows that she says things that she doesn't even understand. Like she said something weird when she was sitting there. She's like, I don't even understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And she's upset and crying.
same, River. I get it.
And she says, squish. I put that in my notes of the episode. Just squish.
That's your big
Takeaway.
takeaway.
Yeah. Well, she was like, because she said something about like, just take me out one bullet in the
Yeah.
the brain bucket or whatever.
Yeah.
And she goes, squish.
Simon asks who Miranda is, and River says, ask her. And it's funny because I kind of thought the same thing too, briefly, because he says, are you Miranda? She looks at him like he's crazy.
Yeah, no, her face is like, she's like, be so fucking for real right now. That was her face.
Yeah, she was like, I thought it was hilarious that she looked at him like that.
Yeah.
Like,
and he was like, yeah, you're right. What am I thinking?
Right. So she says that the memory isn't hers and then begs not to, it's never been hers or something. And then she begs not to sleep again.
Yeah. She's like, I don't deserve to carry this.
Right.
But
Yeah.
She has to right now.
Yeah.
They contact this guy, Mr. Universe, because they want to find out if that video of River kicking everyone's ass in the bar was out on the news, was anywhere, be seen by anyone. And he was like, no, it's nowhere. I had to dig deep to find it.
So then we see Inara in her really fancy place. Looks really nice. She looks very different.
She does look so different.
There's
I thought the
about
same
her face
thing.
that looks
She's
very
tanner.
different. No, it was like her face shape.
She was like
something.
more round or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
She looked very different.
Okay.
Yeah.
It could just have been her hair, but she looked different to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's standing there outside, and there's some steps, and up the stairs comes the Parliament assassin, and she greets him calmly. And I'm like, oh shit.
But did you see her eyes?
What about?
Because it zoomed up on her face, and her eyes are very like normal, and then she's like,
oh.
Yeah.
I just thought.
Like she knew.
Well, she reads people.
Right.
Right.
But I also was worried because for a brief minute there, I thought, is she turning against the crew?
Yeah,
Like
no, I
she's
didn't
in
think that.
cahoots with this guy or something? I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way. So then
Those stairs looked really steep.
yeah.
Just saying.
Well, you saw the out shot.
No, I
and it
know.
showed the whole place on like side
Right.
of the cliff.
Yeah.
They probably were steep.
Yeah.
So back on Serenity, they land at Haven, which is where Shepard Book is staying. And when they opened the door and I saw Shepard, I was like, thank God.
And he's got a new haircut.
Yeah, he's got cornrows now.
Yeah.
He's looking real buff. And because he's
What's
all buff
that?
anyway.
Yeah.
Them shits are
But he's
tight,
got his
bro.
own like
Look at
little
that.
community.
Yeah, he's got his
It's
little
so
community
cute.
there, and he's all like, he doesn't look so much like a shepherd anymore as
No.
he does almost like Jane.
Right.
Just his clothes and the way he was, he reminded me a little bit of Jane. So that night, they're all, there's a little bonfire going. Everybody's down by the bonfire except for Mal and Book. They're up talking to each other. Mal's like worried because, of course, he's worried the alliance is going to show up. Everyone's like, they're not going to come here. And I don't know why he thought that exactly, but he didn't. He said they wouldn't come there. Book starts to say something, and he's like, you just need to. He's like, I don't care what you believe in. I just want you to believe in it.
To believe.
Yeah. And then
Right.
Mal mocks him and says, your sermons make me sleepy. And he's like, why do you always assume that when I say believe, I mean believe in God? It's like, just
believe
whatever.
in whatever. I'm assuming one of the questions that didn't get answered that you were talking about. She said two things kind of got answered, two things didn't.
One
I'm
is Shepard.
assuming is Shepard.
Yeah.
But in this exchange, something is said that's kind of like, because Mal says something and Shepard's like, I wasn't born a shepherd. And Mal says, well, you should tell me about that sometime. And he goes, no, I don't.
Well, yeah.
That doesn't answer anything.
But it isn't.
But
What are you talking about?
I feel like it kind of hints at the fact of like.
But that's been hinted so many
I
times.
know, but I
exactly
mean,
the same way. He's like, I
yeah.
didn't know what you
I got no
But
resolve
still.
on that.
Yeah. All right. After some minor technical difficulties with Jamison's phone.
My phone's dead.
All right. So then we have River, and she dreams of being back at school, and everyone in the scene, the teacher tells everybody. Teacher says that River, you look sleepy. Lay down and go to sleep. And she doesn't want to. But the teacher tells everyone to lay down, and they all lay down, like, whoop, without thought.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone lies down on command except for her, and the teacher glitches. Did you notice the teacher glitched?
Yeah.
Yeah. And River wakes up. She's still handcuffed to the grate, and here's a voice that says, cut them down. Mal's asleep in his bunk, and he's awakened by Wash over the intercom, telling him that he's got a call. And so he goes and he takes the call, and it's Inara. So, of course, Inara is asking him for help. Their conversation is weird and awkward and flirtatious, but basically she's telling him that there's some possible problems where she is. And he's like, oh, she needs some gunpowder. And she's like, well, I'm hoping it doesn't come to that. I just want, these people to know that we've got some backup, basically, and just to see if it'll scare them off. That's pretty much what she's doing. Now, the rest of the crew, while they're having this conversation, are in the bridge, and they are watching this go on. And they're even eating popcorn. One of them was eating popcorn because they threw it at one point. because of their conversation, which was very awkward and weird. And they said things like, I think the one time the popcorn was thrown and they were like,
Yeah.
when Mal said, Kaylee really misses you a lot.
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, just Kaylee.
Yeah.
Sure.
It was a nice insight to like the whole crew knew what was going on.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. They probably all.
Boo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They probably all known for a while that this shit should have,
Yeah.
happened by now. After the phone call finishes, he goes up to the bridge, and first thing Zoe says is, trap? And he's like, yep, it's a trap. And then Kaylee's like, well, how do you know that it's a trap, basically? And he's like, did we argue? She's like, no. He's like, it's a trap.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, that was funny. They go to the training house where Inara is. And as they're approaching, Wash says he doesn't detect any Alliance ships, but Mal knows they're there somewhere. And as he plans to approach alone on their little mule, I guess, he tells Zoe that if he doesn't come back, or if it looks like shit's going down, the ship is hers. And then he says,
No, they went in on the little shuttle.
yeah.
Mal went in on a Nora show.
Oh, yeah, on Nora's shuttle.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But he told Zoe, if, shit looks bad, the ship is yours. He said, but if it looks like I'm going to die or having trouble, make sure you come and get me. And she's like, what? Where's the ship? And
Hey!
he says, well, it's cold out there. I don't want to get left. So anyway,
Yeah.
he gets there, and when you see in the next scene, Inara is lighting some incense in front of a Buddha statue, and then somebody enters, and they've got all this garb on, and their face is half covered. And he sits down, and they sit down next to her. She says something, and he, of course, says something back. She knows immediately that it's Mal, and he takes his little head cover off. And she's surprised. She's like, what are you doing here? Don't you know it was a trap? And he's like, yeah, of course I know it was a trap, but obviously you were in trouble, so that's why we're here. She's like, basically, you got to get out of here. This is a trap. And he's like, well, you need help, obviously, because there's something going on. And then, next thing you know, the
Bad guy.
the Parliament assassin comes in.
Mm-hmm.
With the operative.
Yeah, or the operative. I have it written here as the Parliament assassin.
Which I thought was funny because I felt like if this was an episode, this would have been the whole episode was him sneaking in somewhere.
Right.
But they just condensed him to like, I'm here.
Right.
Yeah.
So he tries to explain to Mal that all he wants is River. He doesn't want to hurt anybody or kill anybody. He just wants River. He calls her an albatross. And Mal points out that in that story of the albatross, that the albatross was bringing good luck to the ships until somebody killed it. But he was trying to say that ever since you guys have had her on your ship, you've had nothing but trouble.
Mm.
So that was his comparison to the albatross. So then the assassin, of course, he threatens the ship. He's like, we're up in the sky. We have our beacon tracker. We know where your ship is. We can find your ship, and I can destroy it in a matter of seconds. All I have to do is give the word. And then Mal turns around and says something like, you should do a better job or something like that. And he throws this thing at him. It's the beacon. They've gotten it off the
Oh, yeah, they took it off the ship, yeah.
Yeah. Then he shoots the guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
Well, the dude says something. He was like, I'm clearly not trying to harm you. I'm not even armed right now. And Mal goes, perfect.
oh, yeah, yeah, good.
And just shoots him.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm not an idiot. I'm wearing armor.
Right.
Like, duh. So they, of course, fight, and they're fighting back and forth, and they're all over the place. And Inara gets involved.
Dude, she gets knocked like twice, and I'm like, girl, what are you
I'm
just
like,
stay
what are you
away?
Yeah, what are you trying
Stay
to
down.
do?
Stay down.
So they're going back and forth, and then finally at one point, Mal's down, and then the guy is standing there talking to her.
Oh, I thought this was kind of cool, though.
Yeah, he was talking to Inara, and then he turned around to walk back towards Mal, who was over close to the Buddha statue where she was lighting incense. And he said something wasn't real or something, whatever. And she said, yeah, but those incense aren't incense. And then they blew up.
They blew up,
Right.
yeah.
And it was a flash.
Like perfect timing,
Yeah.
Nara.
And it was a flash bomb that knocked him out and, dazed him for a bit, enough for them to get
Get
out
on the shuttle,
right away.
yeah.
So they ran out, they escape, they get to the shuttle, they take off, they get on to the Firefly, and when they leave, they dump what I'm assuming were a bunch of crybabies. But they were much nicer, upgraded versions of the crybaby. Remember the crybaby from back in the first episode when they
Oh, yeah, the barrel.
That shit-
Yeah. Yep.
It's almost like there's a distress signal.
I didn't catch that, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But they were much
There
more
was-
upgraded version of
yeah.
the crybabies, if that's what they were.
Because they're like,
Decoys.
because
Yeah.
dude's mad. He's like, go find him. And he's like, well, there's 7 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got him.
So back on the ship, Inara warns the crew how dangerous this assassin is, not because he's violent, but because he's a true believer, that he believes in that what he's doing is right. He's going to be right for everybody out in the system, the verse. Simon asks if anyone knows who Miranda is, and no one does. Jane argues they shouldn't be protecting River. Mal and Jane clash, and then Jane questions Mal's leadership, and they get in a big old thing about, Jane basically thinks he's running things
Which
wrong.
this scene is another scene where I was like, Mal is really just letting Jane talk to him that way, though.
Yeah,
that he
weird.
probably wouldn't normally.
Right.
Like I feel like he would.
And was like, get the fuck out.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's what made me think in this he wasn't as ballsy as he like typically is, like Mal,
Right.
or like stern.
Yeah.
Like he kind of just let Jane talk. Like he did snap back a little bit, but like he kind of like really let him go. Like Jane like raised his voice, like
He
the
brought
whole
up about
nine.
Serenity, and
Yeah.
you left all those people behind. And
Right.
That's when Zoe got pissed and told him to get out.
Yeah, get out. But yeah, I thought that was not typical Mal behavior to like let him.
He let him go on and on.
Yeah, he like really let him go.
Because remember in the first episode when he made just the crude comments about Kaylee, and
Yeah.
Mal jumped all over his shit and made him leave the dinner table.
That's what I'm saying. But like here, he's like letting him just like completely tear him apart, and it's
Yeah.
like what?
Right.
I thought.
And I think even later, there's another scene. Was it with Inara? Where he was like, basically like, we could talk about whatever, but not in front of the crew. Like, don't put me down in front of the crew. But then that's going on.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a couple parts that are just weird like that. But anyways.
So after all that happens, Mal walks out, and Nara follows him, and they talk. And this is where Mal, for the first time, and I was hoping something was going to come from this, but the first time he kind of really opens up about how Inara makes him feel.
Mhm.
Of course, in
Oh yeah.
a different, not in a direct kind of way.
Yeah, or like a
Per
nice
se.
way. He
Right.
pretty much was like, "You're a distraction to me because you throw me off."
Yeah, you put me in this
Because I clearly
thing.
have feelings for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she was talking to him about how he was leading, and he was like, I don't know how to lead any other way. And he says, and when you're around, get me all messed up and discombobulated, and you
Yeah.
put me in a spin. And
And then he proceeds to be an asshole and was like, "I wish you were anywhere else." And she was like, "Well, I was."
yeah.
You know?
Exactly. Then he walks off. So then River dreams of school again. And she sees her desk. She sees her tablet that she
The
was
thing
right-
that she was, yeah.
that she was using, and a vision of the Reavers again. She wakes up and at the same time, because Jane, when he left, he went down into the kitchen and to the dining room area where she's being held. And while he's in there, he decides to get the bright idea that I'm going to go and take care of this, I guess.
Yeah.
So he gets his gun after he saw all that shit take place in the bar.
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, I can take her."
He goes and he opens the door and he looks in, and she's not there. And of course, she's doing her Spider-Man thing up in the
Yeah,
ceiling.
in the ceiling.
And you don't really see anything. All of a sudden, you're out back where other people are, and you hear a shot go off.
Yeah.
And so they all run down there, and Jane, they can't get in the door.
She was holding like a can of beans or something, though.
I didn't notice that.
She probably just bonked him. And I bet you when he fell, like his gun went off, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's closed the door to the dining room area, and they can't get in. All they can see is Jane on the floor, but they can't see her. So they all take off to go look for her. And Simon stays behind, and he's just looking through the little porthole window, and there she is all of a sudden.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
she shows up.
yeah.
He opens the door, and she attacks him because she's in that mode now.
She's in Miranda mode.
And I'm like, why didn't you say the magic words, dude?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess he didn't know
Well,
she
she
was
did
in.
throat punch him,
She throat punched him first.
so he probably couldn't.
Yeah. Well, that's true because she says it later. She said, "I
Um,
thought you were going to turn me off or whatever."
Yeah, that's right. So she attacks him. The crew's scrambling. They're all looking for her, trying to figure out where she is. Mal tries to sneak up on her on the bridge, because that's where she ends up going, is the bridge. And she's looking at the panel, and it has a planet on it. And he walks in, and she pulls the gun on him, and he's like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to talk to her. He says something about, she ends up cocking the gun. I can't remember. He said
Oh, yeah, because he
something.
said something about, "I would die for it." And then she cocks the gun. He goes, "Maybe
Well, we can
not."
talk about it a little bit.
Talk about
right?
it.
It's like a little more conversation.
Yeah.
So then, as you know, it's looking kind of crazy. She then points to the planet on the screen, and she looks at him and says, "Miranda." So now he knows what Miranda is. So then we go back to the crew, and he's got the crew together, and they're discussing Miranda, and they're all they're like, how have we never heard of this planet? No one's ever talked about it. We don't know anything about it. And even though it's on the map, no one's ever heard of it. Zoe, who's looking at it, there's this black field where you can see stars, but then there's a dark matter area that has no stars in it. And Zoe reveals that it lies beyond Reaver territory. So apparently these Reavers just hang out way, way out there.
Yeah, they probably just hang out way out on the outside just to be away from people. And then
I
when
wonder why they hang out around that planet.
Right.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
I'm surprised the Reavers, being that they are what they are, why don't they just go ravage all the planets and
like all the time.
All
Yeah.
the time.
But I guess, I don't know.
I mean, why
I
don't
don't
they
want to
do that?
go too far from home.
I guess not.
Yeah, I guess they want to have like a home base.
But they talk about how no one ever goes there, not even the Alliance.
Because it's uninhabitable.
Yeah, they assume it's uninhabitable.
Like on paper.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
Like, can't go there.
They decide they're going to go to Haven and talk about possibly, I guess, seeing how they can get to Miranda, maybe. They were definitely going to Haven.
Yeah, they were going to go back to Haven.
Yeah.
Right.
So they set course for Haven again. When they are flying in and they break atmosphere and they get close to it, they see fires, things are burning. They can see dead people on the ground. They land, they're looking around, they're trying to find Shepard. Mal goes around a corner, he sees Shepard laying there and he's got a gut wound. And Mal's, trying to talk to him like, hey, got the doc here, you're gonna be fine. And poor Shepard's like, no, I'm not gonna make it. This is it. Mal said something to Book, and Book was like, you can't order me around, I'm not part of your crew. And Mal says, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Which gave me chills.
Yeah.
I was like, but ultimately, Book's final words were, I don't care what you believe, just believe it.
Yeah.
And that he died. And then everybody came up and they realized he was there.
And I had a little
And-
itch in my eye
And
for a
she came
second.
across the little boy that
I
ran up to
know.
her the first time they went, and of course she comes across his poor
Mm.
body.
Right.
Yeah.
So Simon still goes over to check on Book anyway, even though he's gone. Mal walks off, and Jane wonders why only one ship was sent. Zoe said they didn't know we were coming, but then she realized, oh, what they're doing is they're going to every place we've ever been that's given us safe haven, and they're going to go and destroy them all.
Yeah.
Right.
And so she tells Wash to go and get on and contact everybody we've ever talked to
Mm-hmm.
and tell them to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
Wash has gone and tried to contact. Everyone's been killed.
Oh.
So then the assassin contacts Mal and says this will keep happening unless River is turned over. He claims that he's a monster and he's not pretending otherwise. He's like, I am a bad person.
Yeah.
I'm not joking around about
Which
it.
was dumb as shit of him because he did. He went all into like, I know I'm evil and it's fine.
Right.
Like, well,
Yeah. Because Mal was like, so you want us to just turn her over, then just lay down and die so we can all live in this
He's
perfect
like-
world?
yep.
And the guy's like, well, I'm not going to live in the perfect world because I'm a horrible, evil bastard.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like he believes it for all the other people. He believes that this is going to be the thing that's going to make the world perfect for all of them. So then Mal just ends in the middle of the guy talking. He just ends the call. So then Mal orders the crew to disguise the ship. He wants them to take all the bodies, tie 7 bodies together, throw them on the nose of the ship. Those bodies, did they just take all the skin off of them?
Right. They were decomposed already.
I would figure they like roasted in the
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe that's what happened.
maybe
I was like,
that's what it is.
damn,
Right.
did they-
I was going with.
But they built they mocked their
Right.
Firefly to be a Reaver ship.
Right.
That's what
They did a pretty good job of it.
They did. Yeah. In the time that they had, they
Right.
They
so
knocked
they,
it out
yeah,
of the
they,
park.
they painted
I'd
it.
love to know where they got the red paint.
Yeah.
Because he said that, and I was like, are they going to like bleed them all out? real
Yeah, I was like,
quick?
where
I
did you
thought about
find
that
it
too.
here? That
Yeah.
paint here? But he also told Kaylee to make it look like they had no core containment, which I thought was interesting because that was talked about in the first
Mhm.
episode.
Yep.
So their plan is that they're going to try to get to Miranda by going through this whole Reaver band of ships
They're like
to get there by pretending to be a Reaver ship.
which I think is kind of funny because if none of the other Reaver ships are going to that planet, but yet this one just happens to show up and go right
Right,
through
to
them
it,
and
they
then
didn't
to
have-
that planet, they're not going to think, what are they
What
doing?
do they
They're
think?
just floating around. They shine the spotlight on them.
Right.
No, I know, but it's just
But the
funny
thing
that
is,
like
do Reavers think?
I mean, I guess
Rivers
understand.
don't, first of all.
she'd be thinking too much actually.
Right.
She'd be thinking, but Reavers, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I guess maybe they don't.
But they
I don't know. If it was me
Well, they
and
must
this
have
ship just like popped up out of nowhere and then went to the planet that nobody else is going to, I'd be like, You're suspicious.
But think of every other scene we've seen them like in this movie. They're like, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
They're not fucking like.
It's just like,
They go.
how are they flying the ships with such accuracy that they're chasing people down and shooting them? I don't understand.
I don't know. And they like wrap around other
Yes,
ships too
they
and like
have
rip
that
them
thing.
apart and stuff. It's easy the shit that they do.
Yeah.
Maybe they like turn down their like on the controller like the motion sensitivity.
It's all maybe it's just always all on autopilot, and they're just fantastic autopilot.
I don't know.
So he also tells Wash to prep the cannon and attach it to the outside of the ship. Is there not one attached to the outside?
There is, and apparently it was a World War II German machine gun.
Yeah. Okay.
Nickname Lux.
Oh. Okay. Also, while all this is going on, there's some Alliance guy crawling out of a ship. The ship that came
the
over
ship
there.
that crashed.
And Mal's just talking, and all of a sudden he walks over, and as he's talking, he
Yeah.
shoots him.
Yeah.
So that was it, that guy. But everybody's like freaking out about going through the Reaver space, as you know. And Mal is like, "Look, if you don't want to go with me, this is your harbor. You're just going to stay here. This is where you're going to be forever." Basically, they all decide, okay.
Yeah.
So they take off. They do all their stuff. They take off. They're quietly, silently, just
floating
coasting through these Reaver vessels.
And they're all like
Yeah, everybody's like looking,
freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of radio chatter though, where you can hear people screaming.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do they have people on their ships?
They might just be partying.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe.
So it sounds like people who didn't want to die.
Right.
Yeah.
But maybe they do that. Maybe they do bring people back just to continue to have fun with them.
Maybe appetizers for
Yeah.
a big meal, or dessert after a big meal.
Dessert after a big meal.
Yeah. So he tells them to stop the radio so they don't have to listen to it anymore.
Yeah.
So they finally reach Miranda, and they do show a quick scene where the Alliance Command is informing the assassin guy that the Firefly just disappeared.
And he's like, what do you mean?
And he's like, what do you mean it disappeared? He's not happy.
It's gone.
Yeah. So then back on Miranda, Zoe confirms that the oxygen and the atmosphere is habitable, that they don't seem to have any problems and everything seems fine. Mal removes his helmet, and they're like, because it's this big city, there's all these buildings, all
right?
this
You don't
stuff.
see it at first, and
Right.
and then that's what they start talking about, and they're like, "What's?"
And then Zoe was like, "Yeah, we passed 12 others on the way just to get here, just to land."
Yeah,
They were shocked that there's that much.
it was very
obvious-
nice.
Yeah,
Apparently, it was a high school that they filmed at.
that is a fancy fucking high school.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I want to say California.
Of course.
Yeah.
They are walking around. It seems like it's abandoned, like there's nothing there.
Yeah,
But then
there's
they start to see signs of, like, there's no signs of violence, but there are bodies everywhere.
Yeah.
They start seeing bodies. And all the bodies around them where they're walking on the outside of the buildings are all decomposed. But none of them seem to have died from
Like,
violence of any sort.
Yeah.
No guns, no knives, no tearing apart. They're just
they're just
dead. Like they just stopped and died.
They were
So-
trying to find what, a beacon? Is that what they called
yeah,
it?
they're
Yeah,
looking for the beacon.
Beacon. Because that was like the only signal that they could pick up. Yeah.
So then they happen to see inside a building that has glass. It looked like just a regular
It looked like an office, yeah.
With computer lab.
Yeah, and all the people in there, they
That was
were
Science 101.
yeah, they were better preserved, and they still had some skin and flesh on their bodies, but they were definitely dead.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Huh, it looks like these people just fell asleep.
Yeah.
Like they just laid down and died."
Yeah.
So they thought that was confusing and weird, but they were like, "Let's just go find where this beacon's coming
But
from."
this is also the part where we go back to what River said when that Reaver was on the ship
right.
and that they don't lay
They
down.
don't lay down.
Because they talk about that in this scene.
Yeah.
Because like some of them are just completely standing up or sitting in their chairs still.
Yeah, but
and
some
they're
were
just
laying
dead.
down.
Some were, yes.
They're like, "Oh, that one just laid down," but because there was
Yeah.
one on the floor that was just laying there.
Yeah. Well, this was one of the parts where we were talking about it earlier, and we're like, "Oh, we'll get to it later." You just didn't pick up on it.
So they keep walking to go find the beacon, and they find this beacon, and there's a research ship or something that looks like it's crashed into the side of this building, basically. But they find that that's where the beacon is. And so they're all kind of just looking around, and there's some computer stuff and this and that, whatever. And then River goes over and finds this thing, and she just automatically just knows that she just needs to pop it in and turn it. And when she does that,
Sarah Paul.
Sarah Paulson.
No, it was so funny because I go, "What the
I know. I was like, what?
And Christopher goes, "That's not River." I said, "I know it's not River." I said, "It's
Sarah
Sarah Paulson," and I
Paulson.
didn't expect her to be in this.
No.
I was like, "What?"
This was
No.
in her
I love
early
her.
days.
Yeah.
Because as soon as I saw it, I was like, Sarah Paulson?
No,
Just a
literally.
little supporting role real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it also reminded me, of course, a little bit of Princess Leia.
I dig it.
Yeah. The hologram message.
Yeah.
I gotta get this hologram message out.
Yeah.
And this hologram of a woman comes up and she reveals that the Alliance introduced a chemical called G23 paxillin hydrochlorate, which they call PAX for short, into the air to suppress aggression. Because they were trying to create perfect worlds on these planets where everybody's just happy and gets along and fine and dandy or whatever. But the problem was it worked too well. Most people just became so passive, they stopped doing anything. They stopped eating, they stopped breathing, they stopped going to work, they stopped doing whatever, and they just sat there until they died. So they did just stop and die.
Yeah.
But about 10% of the people had the opposite reaction, and they became overwhelmingly aggressive, and these became the Reavers. So this was the answer for number 2. This is the second thing we got answered.
Yeah.
One was River, and what the heck, what's going on with her? I felt like that was the fact, like how did they get to whatever?
Yeah, like,
And then the Reavers, what's their story? How
Which
did we
were
get there?
not like Galaxy Quest.
No, they were just regular people who were looking crazy.
yeah.
Yeah. Although some of them in there looked like
They did look a little.
There was one that had there was one during one scene that the face was so red and looked like
Yeah.
a black thing. So I was like, oh, is that from Star Wars?
Darth Maul.
Yeah, Darth Maul, because it can look like it a little bit. So that's how we got Reavers, is they created them. It wasn't from them
And I
just
guess-
being out in space alone.
Yeah.
It was
And that's Miranda.
planet is Miranda.
Oh, I thought maybe the lady's name was Miranda.
No, the
No, the planet's name is Miranda.
Are you sure?
positive.
Oh, yeah, because I guess Zoe was like, yeah. We
River
need to-
pointed it. She said Miranda.
No, I figured she was just pointing at it because, like, we need to get
Miranda's
speaking.
there.
Miranda has something to tell us.
No, I got the feeling that it was the name of the planet.
No,
Like, it
you're
was on
right,
the
because
map or
Zoe said
something.
it when she brought it up, too. She was like, we didn't even know this planet was named Miranda.
As she's telling the story about how they ended up creating these Reavers, and she's really upset about it, and she's up and crying, but you can hear the Reavers banging
The
the door
background.
where she is. And she's like, I got to get this message out. I got to get this message out before, it's too late. And she's like, I
I'm
don't
not
have a lot
going to
of-
make it.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of time. And then, of course, the message gets all crazy because they get her, and she gets eaten by the or raped or more exploding. I don't know.
I think the whole process, because
Yeah.
everybody started, like, Anara was, like, doing this, and Kaylee was doing this, and
Right.
then River threw up.
Yeah, River did throw up. And Simon, I thought this was interesting because when she went over and threw up, Simon goes over to comfort her and she says, I'm all right. And then she turns to him and says to him in almost
Normal.
oh, I figured something out. She's like, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I think it's because she reached, like, her destiny of, like, what she was used for.
maybe.
To that point of, like, finding that,
Right.
which was going to help save everybody, kind of.
Like maybe all this time.
You think that's what she'd be used for?
No.
She was being used. So the Alliance wanted her because she
why
knew
she was
that
being
existed.
okay. I got what you're saying.
But yeah, by that point, she had gotten that out of her sense, because leading up to that, she was freaking out because she knew that was there, and she needed somebody to get to it
Right.
so that
This
it could
has
be
probably
exposed.
always been in there, and it's always kind of been a jumbled mess.
Right.
And now that she's gotten there and they figured it out, she's like, oh, wait a minute.
But
finally.
yeah, and like I think it probably connects some of the
All the
dots for
dots,
her
yeah.
too. So then she's like, she understands herself more now
Probably,
too.
yeah. That's what I
So.
figured too.
Good job, River.
So they get back to the ship. Mal gives this big speech about how the Alliance feared River because she could uncover this secret, and that they need to now go and make sure everyone else knows about what happened. They have to get this message out to the rest of the verse. So they intend to spread the message, and he was going on. And then Jane does quote Book, and he says, Book told me once that if you can't do something smart, do something right. So their plan was to get to Mr. Universe so they could get this to him and he could put it out all over the airwaves. They wave Mr. Universe, or call him, but that's what they call his wave. And they tell him what's going on and that they're coming. And he promises to broadcast it across the galaxy. No problem. I'll be here when you get here. And they'll say, okay, we'll let you know when we get here. And then after the call, we see the assassin has already gotten to him.
He's surrounded by
So,
Yeah.
no-
Alliance people. Yeah.
So, of course, he turns around and is like, okay, give me my 30 pounds of silver, or whatever it was, 30 pounds of silver. Sounds like a lot.
30. I don't know. I can't remember.
30 silver coin, maybe. And the guy, of course, he's not giving him any money.
No.
He takes his little
he's there
fancy
to kill
sword
him.
and kills him with it. why anybody ever thinks that it's ever going to work out for them.
Right.
I just never understand it.
Right. Well, Mal says before they take off, but somebody makes a comment about like they're going to see them coming, and Mal's like, no, they're not going to see this coming. And that clearly hints to like what takes place next.
Right.
Because like,
Yeah.
I think initially I know I did. I was like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
But it was all part of the plan.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
It took a second, but so basically what they do is they are going to head back through the Reavers. They have to
get
back
to
to
Mr.
the side.
Universe.
They're slipping through the Reavers. They're going, and at one point you see a Reaver detects them.
Yeah, because it like lights up.
It lights up
weird.
red.
Yeah.
And then it starts to slowly go towards them. They must have turned their core containment on so they would be detected, I guess.
Yeah.
But anyway, it comes on. It's approaching like it's going to attach itself to the ship. And then somebody says, now.
Mal said,
Was it Mal?
yeah, because Mal was on the machine
Mal
gun.
was on the machine gun.
But yeah, he
I
like,
thought Wash said it because he was the one watching to see how close it was getting. Anyway, somebody yelled now, and Mal turns and starts shooting at it. But then all of the other Reaver ships suddenly realize they're there and start chasing them. So they take off. And at first, before Mal said that, as soon as Mal showed you, I was like, oh, okay, I know what they're doing.
yeah.
So
I had no idea. I was like, that's dumb as shit. Why would you do that?
Nah, I was so excited though.
Yeah.
This was cool as fuck. I was
Yeah.
like, this is a great idea.
yeah, it is. And they're ahead of them a good ways.
Yeah.
And these Reaver ships are chasing them. And of course, they're going straight towards the Alliance ship with the assassin guy on it. And when they get into view of the assassin Alliance ship, the guy's like, oh, they're in our sights. They're here. We've got detection. We're detecting them. And then you see them.
Oh, and of course he's like getting ready to like tell them to shoot it down too.
Right. And the guy's like, these guys are idiots. They're not even changing course.
Right.
Because they're heading straight for the Alliance ship. And so he's like, okay, go ahead and train on them and shoot them down.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as he says that, out of like huge. Those ships are huge. They come barreling through this because there's a foggy cloudiness that they come out of. And then they're like, oh shit.
He's like, shoot at anything.
Shoot at
Yeah.
whatever.
Just shoot something.
Yeah, just shoot something.
Yeah.
He does. He's like in a panic.
Yeah.
He's like, shoot something. So then you've got the Firefly that is just whipping around and going through all of the shit going on. Because you've got the Alliance ship shooting at the Reavers shooting at any other ship that's ahead of them that's not a Reaver ship. And it's all this stuff going back and forth. And so they're weaving and bobbing through all of it. But there is one Reaver ship that just is zoned in on them.
Yeah.
And is right behind them. And they go through and they think they're through and they think they're safe and all is good, or it feels like it is, but then they realize that one ship is still on their tail.
And Wash says,
I'm like a leaf in the wind.
I'm
like a leaf in the wind, and I can't remember. There was two parts to it.
Yeah.
I can't remember the second part.
It's a reference to something.
Okay. So as everything is going on, and they have crap going on inside the ship. Like Kaylee's in the engine room trying to keep fires out because they're
barreling through,
Yeah.
like just hoping for the best.
Also, the assassin guy, he
gets in like
gets in a little pod. So he gets into a pod and he pops out of that ship just as it's pretty much getting blown up. And he escapes from the Reavers' destruction.
Which was cool because it was like a little fun slide at McDonald's.
Yeah, that did look fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked fun.
So-
And it looks like that pod because of the way he looks in it. Like it just, I guess,
It
it
just
brings
makes-
you down to earth. Like that's all it does.
Yeah, I don't know how it navigates because it's like just body size.
It's just, yeah.
Yeah. So
So not Earth.
I really I'm like stalling. I feel like I'm stalling. But I don't want to get to this part.
I know. God damn it. Just get it over with.
So they are going and going and going. They're heading towards Mr. Universe. They're heading towards Mr. Universe's place. They
do a rough landing.
They do something that makes them, I feel like that makes them think the Reavers aren't following them, but I can't quite remember because after this there was so much trauma, I think I blanked out.
They crash landed
But they did crash land right into Mr. Universe's place.
into safety.
Yeah, and they stopped, they ran right into a wall, stopped, dying.
And they're all
And they all were like, whew. And they just took a second and paused to take a breath. And then Wash says, I'm like a leaf on the wind. And then when you get into the second part, all of a sudden, what I thought was a tree branch, because I was like, what is there a tree branch coming in all of a sudden so late? But this
tree come from?
This thing comes through the front fucking glass and right into
through
his chest.
Wash.
I was like,
Right.
what the fuck?
Oh, I think we said the same thing. We were both like, but no, literally, we were both like, like I turned around from sitting over there, and Christopher was just at the TV.
The only thing is Christopher didn't even like Wash.
No, I know.
But I do now.
Now that he's gone.
I just love to hate him. Now I can't love to hate him anymore.
Astro.
Wash
So-
just died.
Yeah, Wash just died. It was traumatic. I was
We're
like-
not everybody.
I had to rewind it because I was like,
Why would you go through that twice?
well, I was so confused because I thought a tree branch came in real late, and I was like, how did this happen? And I'm like, wait a minute, what's happening? And then I rewound
well, no,
it.
because
I rewound it, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe they killed Wash.
Just like that too.
Yeah,
Like no, like
yeah, he was gone.
yeah, like when because we like briefly kind of hinted at this earlier, but yeah, like Shepard dying, it was super sad. Like watching it, I was just like,
Right.
you know,
But you had
Wash is
time.
like here and he's gone.
yeah, you had
You had
time.
some
Like
time.
he had a second to say what he needed to say and like whatever else, and then all of a sudden,
Wash
goodbye, Wash.
Goodbye, main character.
Right. I was just like, what the?
But I think also too, Zoe.
Yeah, Zoe is.
So I'm pissed. I
I
don't
don't know.
like her.
I don't.
What is Zoe? Why you don't like Zoe for what?
Babe, if I ever die in some Final Destination ass shit where I just get impaled by some random object, you better fucking cry.
Oh, you're upset because she didn't remember. Well, first of all, she was upset at first. She was
Oh
like,
yeah, she
went
went
to
over.
him-
She's like, "We gotta go, baby." It's
Yeah,
like, what do you mean he is gone?
Yeah.
Like there's no saving
But
that.
she's-
No,
but-
we're not going anywhere.
But you have never had military training.
And that's why I know she's like the military. She's like, all right, let's go. We got a
She
mission.
knows
Fucking
that there are other people that obviously the Reavers are there because they were shooting this shit, whatever these big ass
Yeah, these
fucking things
fucking
were.
Trees
They were
at
shooting
him
them at them.
Not good
And-
at it.
because she
Miss-
almost got hit.
Yeah.
Miss fucking Terminator lady. I have
No,
emotions.
she
Let's
knows.
kill
She knows
them.
the mission isn't complete.
Yeah.
There are still other people in danger. There's still she can grieve later.
She still
she-
immediately did.
She
but
also still has to save herself. I mean,
Yeah.
she's just gonna be like, I'm gonna go ahead and die here.
Fuck those other people, babe. You better cry.
But she also has to get away. But there's a lot going on. So yeah.
I
At
was
first,
not-
I was like, "Oh, she's not gonna be upset." But I was like, "Oh, it's Zoe. She can't be upset. She's
Right.
gonna wait until later."
she should be upset.
Well,
Yeah.
she probably was, but she
This
knew
is
she
a
had
movie.
a thing to do.
If it
Well,
was real
you-
life, yes, babe.
Now I go back to the beginning season where I was like, I don't like Wash. I like Wash. I don't like Zoe.
Crazy. What?
I can't remember if I like Zoe or not, but I don't like it.
You never really said yes or no. I think she was just a character.
Well, now it's a hard no.
Mel and they all run off and they all get inside to the area where Mr. Universe is house or whatever it is that he's living in.
Yeah, this is fucking crazy. I mean,
Whatever this thing
Little
is.
bunker.
Yeah, I get something. They find the choke point basically. They find a space where they feel like they can all get. It's like a small.
they can
door.
bottleneck him.
They can bottleneck them in, and they can try to shoot them and keep them
Take
back
out
or
as many
whatever,
as they can.
and hold them off while Mal goes and gives Mr. Universe the stuff.
Right. Yep.
So.
The broadcast.
The broadcast, yeah. Well, they're all at the choke point, setting everything up. Kaylee says that she can lock the Reavers inside once they're through by closing the door so that it can't be opened again. And then Kaylee asks Zoe, wait, what about Wash? And Zoe simply says, he ain't coming. And then you see Kaylee's face be like,
Yeah.
oh.
A meanie.
She's probably trying to keep her emotions off.
Oh yeah, she was.
Yeah.
But you also could tell too. Yes, she may have not immediately cried and had this whole meltdown, but she was also prepared to avenge his death.
Oh, yeah.
She was like,
angry.
she's like, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
If I have to.
Yeah, she was
you
definitely
know?
angry.
Of course,
And-
those emotions do kind of take over a little bit
Right,
later,
yeah.
but
Yeah. So then Jane's like, we got to move these crates, and because they're setting up stuff so they don't have to shield themselves and whatever. So anyway, Mel asks Jane if he brought grenades.
yeah, he was like, please tell me you brought him this
yeah,
time.
tell me you brought them this time. He's like, so he gives it to him. And Jane has them. So they chuck a grenade, and then they close the door. And then Mal tells Zoe to hold the line. He's going to Mr. Wonderful. Mr.
Mr.
Universe.
Mr. Worldwide.
Yeah.
It's actually Pitbull.
Darling.
So
had Ice Cube last week.
Now we got Mr. Worldwide on the track for the season finale. That's funny.
So Mal makes his way up to Mr. Universe's lair and finds that he's dead.
Yeah,
And he's laying over on the
Yeah, he,
lap
like,
of his
crawled
robot
over.
girlfriend. And he's just laying with his head on her lap, and she's just there, all whatever. And Mal's like, well, fuck, basically. But then, all of a sudden, the robot, she has this message that's coming through partially her voice, partially Mr. Universe's voice. It kind of was a little bit mixed. But basically, he just tells them that there's a hidden backup near the generator, and that he's like, they can't stop the signal.
He also was like, it's kind of weird to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, shit.
Which, of course, we find out later that it's literally Star Wars. Just saying.
Absolutely. I
This is
totally
100% Star
thought
Wars.
Star Wars.
100%.
When those two were fighting, I was like,
Yes! And
wow.
the space that they're in,
yeah,
it is Star Wars.
totally Star Wars. Then we go back to the crew, and a lot of this is there's back and forth. Crew, Mal, crew, Mal, crew, Mal.
No.
So back with the crew, the Reavers start breaching. Zoe attacks, and she's all up there, right in front of them, like attacking them person to person.
Yeah.
And she's in the way, and Jane's like, "I'm trying to
Yeah.
shoot this fucking
Like, get back on the line.
and you're in the way." But one of them attacks her, gets her in the back, which slices her right down the back.
And then fucking Simon just super glues it back together.
With the bow. I'm like, I want that
It's
shit.
fine.
It was like,
It was
what
gross.
is that stuff?
I don't think it's real. I think
No, I know, but like, there's...
They just
No.
developed it last
No.
week.
the Band-Aid's got it out on the shelves right now.
No.
Liquid
It's like-
bandage. Bandage.
I did forget one part. So when they were setting up all that shit, Simon confesses to his regret to Kaylee that
He wanted to fuck her.
that he wanted to, and that he wanted to be with her, and she's like,
Like
"Me?
sex?
You mean like sex?" And
And
she's
he's
all,
like,
she's
"Yeah."
all down and like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die. We're gonna die."
Oh,
we're
yeah,
gonna die."
yeah, yeah.
And then he says, "Yes, sex," and she first was like, "Well, I ain't dying
She's like,
now."
"Well, fuck this."
That was pretty funny too.
Yeah. So anyway, Zoe gets attacked, sliced down the back. She's on the ground. I don't know why they didn't go and try to eat her after that, because she slayed her for a bit before Jane pulled her to safety.
Maybe they don't like him dead.
She wasn't dead. She was just wounded.
Let's.
I thought she was
Maybe
dead.
it was a goof in the movie.
I guess. So
They just wanted to show off that super glue they had.
yeah. Well, that doesn't come until a little later
Good
anyway.
stuff.
But then we see Mr. Universe's lair again, and somebody's coming through a grate in the floor. And I'm like, why is Mal coming back up in here? Then I realized it wasn't Mal. It was the assassin. So he sneaks up into that chamber in that area, and he hears the exact same message that Mal hears. So he heads to the backup generator as well. So he's heading to the backup generator where Mal is, and then we see Mal. He finds it, the place, and of course he's like, "That is just fucking
Hard to
weird.
get to,
Hard
yeah.
to get to." Like, yeah, no shit. Because it was this thing in this big spherical shaped room, and then there's this core area, and there's all these
Like the
computers.
little platform, but like nothing connecting
Yeah,
the two.
there's all these things that are like all over,
Chains
chains
and stuff.
hanging down. And it's like, how the fuck you? Although I will say real quick, when he left that platform, he pushed a button and a
Oh,
thing
yeah.
went across. Like, why
Yeah.
didn't they have that on the other side?
Right.
Then you bridge. You can walk
There
across.
has to
That'd be
probably
too
be
easy.
somewhere, but
There's no suspense.
Right.
right.
So the guy comes in.
Just as Mal is about
Mal's
to.
just getting ready to get up on this thing to kind of shimmy across or whatever. And the guy comes in. Of course, they argue, and the guy's like, "Do you really believe in all this?" And Mal says, "Yes, I do believe in spreading the truth, letting everybody know." So this is the thing that he believes in. That.
Oh, yeah, it's
Shepard
the
was talking
belief.
about.
Mm-hmm.
So Mal, does believe in it. The assassin shoots him. They fight. Then Mal jumps up. That he knocks the guy. I can't remember what he did, but he did shoot the guy in some way.
Are you talking about like how they got over eventually?
Well, he
'Cause
knocked
Mal-
the guy out or did something enough for him to jump up and start climbing.
Yeah, he
over.
shot at him a couple times where he
Yeah.
backed up around like that thing that was kind of in
Yeah.
that hallway area.
Right. And Mal starts climbing over on the thing with his hands, and then the guy ends up coming up and jumping out and grabbing onto something and knocking into Mal, which knocks Mal off of that, and Mal happens to
Land
fly
on, like, a
into a
chain.
chain, like he's
Right.
like right in the gut that had to been off.
It's like American Ninja Warrior.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're doing all this shit to try to get over that middle console. And meanwhile, the crew is continuing to battle everything. And at this point, finally, Jane gets Zoe and he pulls her behind the barricade that they had with the crates. And that's when Simon puts the foam stuff on her and patches her up. But then Jane gets shot. I think he got shot in the shoulder area. It looks like somewhere in there. Kaylee gets shot with darts.
Yes, like in
And
the
I was
neck.
like,
yeah.
oh my God, are you guys... At first I thought something just went right into her throat. I didn't realize it was the 3 different darts or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they shot her like with an arrow in her throat. And I was like, oh my God, are they
They're just killing
Kaylee?
everyone.
I was like, I understand realism and the fact that some of these people are going to die if you were in reality, but come
No
the
part
fuck
two.
on.
Right. We already got 2. Like, let's not make it
That's
3. Right. It was ridiculous.
So, and then she's, got this. And then Simon stood up at one point for some reason. He got shot.
Yes. And I think that's when they were finally like, all right, like,
Pull back.
let's go. Yeah.
So it's Jane's been shot, Zoe's been sliced, Kaylee's been punctured, and Simon's been shot.
Mhm.
Has anybody not been wounded?
River.
Oh yeah.
That bitch.
Okay. River wasn't wounded. So they all go back through the door, and they try to close the door, but the door doesn't close all the way.
Right.
But all the Reavers that were in that area are dead, but there's more Reavers behind.
So they do one more little
Yeah,
grenade.
they threw one more grenade.
And so those Reavers were immediate threat were dead because of the grenade. But there were still, of course, more that were going
Coming, yeah.
Right.
from behind them. But they're all in this like walkway area, all just fucked up.
Yeah. Kaylee's about dead. Like, she's like about to go unconscious. Because I guess
Right.
those were like poison darts.
Right. Oh, wait a minute. Simon hadn't got shot.
No,
yet.
he got shot through.
He got shot
Yeah.
through the thing while they were in that area.
Yeah. Because that little space was still open and then he got shot.
Right.
So then that's when he was like, I need my bag.
Which
I need my bag.
Yeah, because I was surprised. I were thinking, oh, they know how to shoot guns. Like they know how to shoot and aim. I'm like, I'm confused about these Reavers. Because in that walkway area, he stood because Canada was losing feeling.
Right.
So he was like, I need my bag.
I need
Shit,
my bag.
And then
So he stood up to go, and he got shot.
Right.
And then he's down. I'm like, oh my God, they're just gonna kill off everybody. Like this is the worst ending ever. I was like, shit.
I know. I thought about that too. I was like, are they all just gonna die?
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, that's the.
I wonder if he had any intention at one point in time to have all of them die. Just as a like, fuck you, Fox.
Right.
No, that'd be.
Oh, that just reminded me. Well, we haven't gotten through the whole thing. Well, we've gotten through the 2 deaths. So, but I was thinking about it. You know how Christopher has the FJA tattoo? I would like, what did I was thinking? I was like, FF.
Fuck Fox Studios. FFS.
Fuck Fox. Yeah, you could do FFS, yeah. But I was thinking of FFFC. I don't know. It was dumb. I made like this whole idea in my head that was just stupid, where it was like, fuck you, Fox, we're canceling Firefly or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was just to be dumb, because
We should do that. That'd be a hoot.
But fuck you, Fox.
So now he's down. He's almost out.
Yeah.
Rivers goes over to him. She's like trying to put pressure on the wound, and she's all upset. And he's saying all this stuff, and you think he's on his way out.
Oh, yeah.
Because he's saying all this stuff to
Yeah.
her.
He's like, I'm sorry, I have to go.
Yeah, and he's like, I have to go. And he says something about how I've always taken care of you. Or no, she's like, you take care of me. Now it's my turn.
Yeah.
So then she.
Literally in this moment, I said, go Miranda, go! Because she went into Miranda mode, and she's like, and I was like,
But
yes.
interestingly enough, she chose to go into that mode at that point in time.
Oh yeah.
She
Well,
wasn't
I think
triggered.
it goes back to the fact that she said she was
I'm
okay
all right.
in that
Yeah.
moment. She knows how to like
Now
work the
she-
system now.
Now she knows
She knows.
when to turn it on and when to turn it off.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't mad. Because if she were vicious, she would have attacked all those people that were still there.
But she knew.
But she knew.
She's like, I got this power. I'm
Yeah.
gonna utilize it for good now.
Running Man, Terminator, whatever, down the hall, and jumps through, rips the
Grabs
thing
the
off
bag.
the wall, because the Reavers are starting to come in now from the first door. Rips the thing off the wall that causes the door to close, and she grabs the bag, throws it through, and the door's shut.
Yeah.
So now everybody's like, oh, fuck, poor River.
Oh, I knew she was gonna be
Oh,
fine.
yeah, she
I didn't
she
care
could have fought. She could have fought the whole time.
Oh,
They
I
all
thought that,
just sat back.
dude. So when they were setting up for the whole thing, I was like, just fucking let River
Yes.
like go at it. That's all I could think the whole time. I was like, she could literally take all of them and be perfectly fine.
they could all hang out in the
hang out in the
hallway.
little hallway
Yeah.
and just let her beep, 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 beep.
I was like, because after it was all said, I'm like, why did they just have her in the first place?
I don't know.
Of course, there wouldn't be much of a story there.
Right. It would be like, all right,
We would all be like,
Yeah.
oh my god.
Right.
So then we go back up to Mal and the assassin battle. They're right there at the backup generator, and they're just going at it.
On
Right
the Star
back
Wars
and forth,
side.
beating each other.
Literally Star Wars.
Absolutely. I thought Star Wars the whole time.
The Star Wars. So you're literally telling me
They have
this is Star Wars.
This is a
platform
common
battle every
theme,
single
yes.
one. Eventually, the assassin stabs Mal, which I was like, fuck.
Right.
I was like, God, they are really going to kill her.
Yes.
I was like, son of a bitch. And then I realized that Mal's probably going to kill this guy, but Mal's still going to die anyway. I was like,
Yeah.
but then I thought, well, he has also been stabbed once before, so maybe he's used to it and he could just be fine. But guy
Yeah, once you
stabs
get
him.
stabbed.
Guy stabs him, and then Mal jokes about, they make a joke about, well, they talk about the 7 deadly sins the guy brings up, and then Mal makes a joke about it, saying something about how his favorite one is rap, and he goes to, even though he's been stabbed, he pulls it out, and he goes, he's got the guy down on the ground, and he goes to stab down, of course the guy twists and rolls, and whatever.
Just barely.
And
Oh, we
they-
missed the part too. Sorry, this is irrelevant, but it was funny where Mal like grabbed something out of that like box of stuff, and it was like a little
Oh, the
screwdriver.
screwdriver, yeah, that was
And it's like a little
hilarious.
screwdriver. The dude has a sword, and Mal's like,
He does give him the face though with it.
yeah, he
Yeah.
does. But I just thought it was funny.
I forgot
Sorry.
that part. That's true. Yeah. So, but then the guy ends up getting behind him and doing that maneuver
The
with
thing-
his hand in the sack
That he did to the
The back
The kids
side.
a bunch.
that he did to the side.
Yeah, a
of the
little
guy. So
extreme
Mal
tickle.
stops and he's stuck there, and I'm like, fuck. And I'm like, fuck the whole time. Just everything in this movie, I was just like, fuck, fuck, fuck. So Mal's stuck there in this pose, and the guy's, of course, being all, he's
Yeah.
this little weird thing, like, this is a proud way to die, this is a whatever. And he turns around, and he's got his sword, and he starts charging at Mal. Well, Mal
Was fine.
was fine. He wasn't
was just
stuck at all.
playing
He
the
was
part.
just playing. Yeah.
Just teasing.
Yeah.
Silly.
He's
He's like, I got you. And ends up knocking that guy the fuck out.
and like breaking his arms.
Yeah. He got
like
behind him
took
and
to
did
his
this
arm and like
thing.
and like just.
I was like,
No, he
Ugh.
broke his neck. That's
No,
why he
he
couldn't move.
punched him in the neck or whatever.
Yeah, he
Or
did.
Then he
broke his
fucking.
neck and then like
and then he
broke
did this
his
weird
arm.
thing with his arms that I felt like it broke his back. Like,
Yeah,
it,
there
or
was-
he just gave him a really good backcracking.
Yeah, and he was just like, I haven't had this in my whole
Yeah.
life, and was like he was paralyzed on the top half. Of the
Yeah. I've never seen that before.
His feet move?
I don't know.
That's impossible.
It doesn't
We
matter.
know. Anyway, but then he
Anyways.
ties his hands up through the bars, and he walks over.
And he puts like the sword
thing
in it too.
Yeah,
It's like kind of like a ha-ha,
Yeah.
but like locks him
Right.
to it.
So then he puts the little hologram thing in, and it goes out to the verse. Everybody hears it.
The Alliance.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck the Alliance. And fuck bugs.
Fuck box.
You do FAFF. Fuck the Alliance, fuck bugs.
Yeah.
Then we see the crew. They're back. We go back to them down, like all sullen and dying.
Yeah, they're just in the hallway dying.
They're all in the hallway dying, and thinking River's dead, and it's just
Right.
a horrible, sad, terrible.
Oh yeah, and Jane was like, "Do you think he got it?"
Oh yeah.
And
They got the
and
message
so
out.
he's like, "Yeah, he
yeah, he
did."
got it out.
And this was even before he'd gotten to that point.
yeah, like,
But like they knew.
yeah,
you know.
And basically, it was funny, not funny in a funny way, but funny that even Jane at that point, thinking they were all going to die, their biggest concern was whether he got
If the mission
message
was
out.
completed, yeah.
Big little teary-eyed with it.
No, because I still feel some type of way about this whole fucking thing.
Right. They're all basically bracing for death. Then Mal arrives. He comes down the escalator, the elevator. And then he's looking around. He's like, "Where's River?" And they're like, because the River's out. All of a sudden, the blast doors open, and there she is standing there, badass as fuck. River's standing there, still alive. All the Reavers are dead.
She's looking hella like
She's looking really fucking cool.
shit, I had it in my brain and then it was gone. Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah.
Very Mortal Kombat F.
Whoopsie. Finish him.
Yeah, no, she's got the two. Yeah, literally. But she's got the two swords, and like one's dripping blood. Like, yeah, she looks very cool.
She looked really cool. So then everybody's like, okay, good, River's alive. So she's standing there, dripping blood all over,
And
and
they're all
standing.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the wall behind her explodes, and there's a big fireball, and then all these Alliance people come in, and they're all guns like pointed
Nobody
at her,
move.
and like nobody moving, hands up, weapons down. She's standing there. She's still got her hands on the weapons. I feel like she was like, I can take you fucking.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking, I was like, what's the difference of this?
Yeah.
Time?
Right.
It was so close because.
Well, I was
You
thinking
could
about.
tell she was like ready to fight.
Oh,
them.
she was.
And they were ready to shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing that I was like, even though I like in a way I knew she could take them, it was like they were all just lined up behind her though with guns pointed at her already, and I'm like, could she though? Like, what could she do?
I feel like she'd get down.
But she probably
around,
and just like whatever. But like I was still
line.
just like, ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they still phoned to like what's his face.
Yeah, they were calling and
They were calling and they were like,
we need to be told.
yeah, tell us,
Kill
can
her?
we
What
shoot?
are we doing?
And I
It's
didn't
like the
think,
finger on the trigger.
yeah, I didn't think he was gonna be able to respond. I thought it was just gonna be like there was gonna be no response and they wouldn't do anything anyways.
Yeah.
But then he was still able to talk
I
and
was
was
shocked
like,
that he responded because I thought he was going to die.
right.
But
And then he responded and was like, no.
because I thought, because you know how Mal is about not killing people
Right.
intentionally, like right then and there. that
But I
was
thought
just
he
gonna-
was still going to.
I thought he was just going to let him sit there and die.
right.
Like he would just die.
And I
because
thought it was-
he doesn't eat. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
and I thought too that he obviously purposely did it so that he could watch Mal be like, "Look at me, motherfucker!
Yeah.
Here it is." But yeah, he told
But-
them to like ceasefire or
Yeah.
whatever.
He told him not to shoot her.
He was like,
so-
"It's already done.
Yeah. Let it go.
What's the point?" You know?
Right. So then we go to the scene, which gave me full body chills again. And you see the headstone of Mr. Wonderful. They had this little hologram of him and his girlfriend. They must have buried his robot. with
Mr.
him.
Wonderful.
Oh shit.
God dang
Mr.
it,
Universe.
Mr.
Okay.
Mr. Universe and his robot girlfriend, I guess they buried her too.
Probably.
Two.
With him.
What?
And with the hologram, which would be really cool, the hologram.
Yeah, the little
headstones.
Yeah.
And then they had Shepherd, and then they had Wash. And I was like, oh. And then we see Zoe, and she's all in a nice dress.
She's,
She
like,
comes
beautiful.
out.
Still not crying.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
She probably cried earlier.
Oh, I'm sure she did.
Yeah, and she may have cried after. They just didn't show us seeing her crying
Right.
the whole time.
I think she's so pretty too, and of
Oh,
course, like
she's
in this
beautiful.
scene with like the whole dress and everything, especially seeing her in that when she's
Yeah.
typically like,
Always. Yeah.
you know, but she's
All not crying and stuff.
crying and stuff. But yeah, I mean, fucking awful scene.
Yeah, it was horrible. So then, next thing you know, we're back on the ship. The crew's going to work, repairing the Serenity, and working on all this shit. And then we see this pissed me off so much. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me. So we see Simon and Kaylee. Simon's shirtless. They're making out.
Yeah,
They're finally getting it done. Although River at the top.
Oh, yeah,
is
River.
hilarious. Her head down.
It's
like,
like,
she's like a little
relax.
kid.
She is, yeah.
So they finally get it on, which fine. I don't care about that at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think they have any chemistry, but I don't care
Right.
that they're getting
Yeah.
on at this point. It's not until later that I'm pissed that they got to have sex. So, anyway,
it's later.
yes.
Yes, because of
What didn't happen?
What
Who
didn't
didn't
happen?
Have sex?
they didn't even
do
kiss.
anything.
I was hoping for at least
I
a
was like,
kiss.
no.
I'm like, just have a good,
Yeah.
you know, get real close at least.
God. So
No.
anyway, outside the ship, Mal's out there on the cargo bay,
Like about to close the door.
about to close the
Take
door,
off.
and the assassin shows up, and he says to him, it isn't over, and Mal tells him, well, the damage is done, like, what are they gonna do, right?
Right.
And so basically they just have a little back and forth, and for a brief moment, I almost thought he was gonna let that guy on the ship. I was like,
I kind of felt that, honestly,
like he was
as
like,
well.
Okay,
Hey, come on aboard,
Yeah.
Buckaroo. I'm a pilot short. Fucking.
Can
What are we
you fly?
doing?
Perfect.
because basically he's going to be an outcast. Like these, like really allowed with the assassins.
Yeah, he failed.
The alliance, because they were like, you told them to stand down and not shoot them, and you didn't bring them in, so you're and you let this happen, so you're a bit. And like he's got kind of nowhere to go.
Yeah,
He's gonna be all on his
whatever.
own, walking the earth by himself forever and ever until he dies. So there was a brief moment where I thought Mal was going to ask him to join the crew. They say their goodbyes or whatever. Mal closes the door and he goes inside. And Zoe tells Mal the ship is past inspection. And then as Mal's walking through, he passes Inara and tells her that they'll get her back to her girls soon, and asks her if she's ready to go. And she's like, I don't know. And he says, good answer.
Yeah. And they have a cute little smile exchange, and that's it.
I was like, hold on, there has to be. I'm like looking at the time, like how much time is left? I was like, can they do anything in the next 2 minutes?
Can they have sex in 2 minutes?
Come on. So then Mal goes up to the bridge, climbs into the pilot's seat. River, well, he's talking about something, and then you don't realize who he's talking to, and then he turns and there's River,
Yeah.
and she looks so tiny in this pilot's chair.
Yeah.
This little kid.
Yeah. She's like playing games.
Yeah, right. So he's basically like trying to explain to her, kind of like there's like a learning curve. It's going to take you. And she's like, do 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 do, and then, whoop.
Yeah.
He's like,
you think you can handle this?
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah.
yeah.
He's like, okay, you got this.
Yeah.
He says, you know what the first rule of flying is, and then he looks at her and he's like, kind of laughs. And he's like, well, of course you do. You can read it in my mind.
Yeah.
And she's like, I do, but I like to hear you say it.
Yeah.
And so he tells her this whole stuff, but basically that it's love. Love, you gotta love your ship and everything about it. That's what
And
keeps
it makes it home. Mama.
And that's it. So
This-
the two things that we didn't get were Shepard's background and Inara and Mal.
Right. Didn't Mal also wash his quote again at the end too?
Yeah, I think
Didn't
may
he
have
say
said
the whole
something.
thing about being a leaf in the wind?
Right.
I think he said it again.
I feel like he did, but I can't remember the whole thing.
But yeah. And I think we did get Mal and Inara. It's obvious. Obviously, we didn't get as much as we
Not
would have
good enough.
liked.
I wanted at least them to tell
We
each other.
still got the answer.
It's
I
not
mean, we
good
know.
If
I don't
they
care
could
what
have at least kissed or had sex,
Dude,
they
I
could have
wanted-
at least told each other how they felt about each
like
other.
just tell each other, right? But
Right.
I know.
Well,
Anyways, I'm
I'll
fucking
tell
mad.
you, I'm furious because 2 of our characters died on the premise that everybody knows that the Alliance is bad.
Mhm.
Like they didn't fucking already.
Yeah, but there was a big hidden message. They acted
What?
forever like Reavers weren't even a real thing.
Yeah.
And they clearly knew that they were because they created them
Who gives
themselves.
a shit? They knew.
Really?
And everyone knows
What?
the Alliance
Who
are
gives a
assholes.
shit, mister? The Earth is flat. Who killed JFK?
I'm
Do
just
we have a
saying.
moon?
Did we land on the moon?
Like,
And I don't need anybody to tell me otherwise. I don't need
you're the
Watch
Mr.
dying for my.
conspiracy theorist that loves that shit.
I don't need Watch
He's like,
dying
I'm a
for my
conspiracy
idea.
theorist, but only I don't want people to die.
Yeah.
I don't like.
So what's the thing you have underlined?
EMP. You got so
I
mad about
was
that.
just fucking mad
I don't
because
know
it was
why.
silly. Do you know what EMP stands for?
Isn't
Like-
that like
I know what it stands for. But I guess you're asking her.
Miss Technician.
Yeah.
Tell us.
It's okay. Go ahead. I
All
can
right.
infer.
It stands for
Yeah.
electromagnetic pulse.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
The Reavers hit him with one, right? And that's why they crashed.
Right.
But then the motherfucker gets on the intercom. It's like, we're going down. I was like, why would that work right now?
Right.
And it just infuriated me. I see like lights going on, and I was like, hold on. And I like rewound.
Yeah.
And I was like, an EMP. And he's on the microphone for the comms on the space. I was like,
Right.
okay,
They
cool.
must have forgot how they work.
So I got a little sideways about that for a second. I did pause it. And I
He
was
did.
like,
He was
what?
like, give me the remote. And I was like, no, babe. Because like we were like in the midst of it all. And I'm like,
Right.
fucking what?
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to get through it.
It didn't make sense.
And he's like, no, I have to rewind it because of what was just said. And that's what it was.
Why do I have to? Why did you have to rewind it? It doesn't make sense.
Anyways,
The Earth is not
Mr.
round.
Worldwide.
So when you guys finished watching the episode and it was over,
The show or
the
the
episode,
movie?
the movie, I'm sorry.
Okay.
What did you do?
Cried.
Went to bed.
The fuck? No, he literally was like, I'm done. We're going to bed. And then I had to go and lay in bed and try to fall asleep and think
I
about it.
was
Whereas him,
fucking
being a man,
pissed.
just was like, but me, I just had to sit there and be like, and that's when I was like, because I was still awake for so long, because that's all I was thinking about, right? And that's when I like touched you, and you were like, what? And I was like, you couldn't remember that movie and you've seen it already? Because I was so pissed off. I was so mad.
It's like,
It's like all I was thinking about. And then I thought about death and dying, and I was like, fuck.
Is that what caused me for the last couple of days to be worried about nothing after death? If there was nothing after death,
What if I never see Watch again?
we can just watch Dale and Tucker versus Evil if it makes you feel better.
Let's
Or
watch
Tucker
that,
and Dale.
that comedy.
That is a good movie.
It is a
though.
good movie. Alan Tudyk's fantastic.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen that movie, so I just kind of
Why
assumed.
watch Star Wars after this?
Is Alan Tudyk in Star Wars? Actually, he is in some version of a Star Wars show. I can't think of what it is though. So I loved the series. Pretty much fucking hated the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked the movie.
I like the movie, but
I hated the movie.
The
Obviously,
quality of the movie was great.
it was.
Everything else
It
about
was
it was
good.
trash.
I mean,
It just sucks. What, of course, but obviously, like going into it, like someone's gotta die.
Well, I stand
you know?
by it. I would have been fine just watching the show and that's it. I don't need to watch the movie.
right. I mean, the movie was exciting. It was entertaining. It
Right.
did all that stuff. But I'm just pissed
Right?
that the people had
died.
to die.
No.
There was no reason that Wash had to die.
No.
They could have
Watch.
killed Simon. Like,
Yeah, that would have been great. If they had
Dude,
killed River,
Okay, so
it would have been a great
they could've
movie.
killed River, but
No,
could
no,
totally
they can't
Simon.
kill-
They totally
the people that could have died that I wouldn't have cared would probably be Simon.
Simon's number one, absolutely.
Simon number one, easy,
Sorry.
and Jane.
Sorry, guy that plays
Jane and Simon.
No way.
Yeah,
Absolutely not.
Simon is the only other character that could have died.
I would have
Me.
been.
I
I would have
would've
been
Jane
had
furious.
no relation to
I would have been
anything.
devastated. and
Oh, I
everybody
would've-
else.
No,
I would have walked out.
no, because
Yeah.
Jane, because it goes back to like what I said about like Wash dying. Is you also get the effects of how Zoe feels.
Right.
If
Yeah.
Jane died, nobody would fucking care. Nobody
Me.
would be affected.
I would
I
kill.
would have cared.
Somebody would care if Simon died. River would be affected.
Oh yeah.
If Jane died, nobody would be affected.
I would have been affected. When
You guys don't matter in this situation.
when Wash died, I didn't immediately think of Zoe. I was upset because I was upset that Wash died.
Because I liked Wash, yeah.
I was too. And then she runs over to him, and I'm like,
then I was like, oh yeah, Zoe.
oh.
Yeah. But
But
Simon
no.
is the only character I can think of. Like if they killed Kaylee, if they had killed, even if they had killed Jane, I would have been like, what? The
That would have been. Yes, Jane's my favorite.
I know he is.
Still to the end, Jane's my
If
favorite.
I had to rank them, it would have been Simon. Jane would have been next if I had to rank them. And then
Why would you kill Jane
I
next?
wouldn't want to kill Jane.
She's
but
just
if I
ranking
had
them
to rank
as,
them
like-
as to who's, if they had to kill somebody off and I had to pick each person,
No.
the first person that I could imagine would be Simon. Then Jane.
Okay,
Then
No.
I don't know who would be next.
nobody else.
It's so hard.
No.
See, you make a list and you've only put 2 people on it, and it's the 2 people I said, so I don't care what you say.
But I wouldn't. But Jane would not be first. Absolutely not.
No, I'm not saying Jane would be first,
Right.
but if 2 people had to die, if it was those 2, I wouldn't have fucking cared.
Zoe and River.
No.
No.
Easy.
No.
Zoe died with her partner.
Now
So
I
they're
could
fine.
see.
No, I'm saying he doesn't die.
Now I could see story wise if River had died because they did all of this shit
Right.
to save her because of her, and she ultimately dies. Even though it's almost sacrificial in a way.
Yeah.
Like she died for the cause because it was all about her getting them to find out the Reavers do exist.
Right.
And
And then she died, it's like,
And then
okay.
she died.
She
I
did.
could see that being a thing, a way to go. And if they'd killed Mal, that would have been horrible. But I could get it because he's the captain. he's
Yeah.
the main
He goes
guy.
down with the ship.
He goes
No.
down with the ship kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or they'd all have to die. Like
Yeah.
every one of them would have to die.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
I think I would have been happy.
I think I'm
if they
done
died.
with this episode.
All right, let's close it up.
Are we watching a fucking comedy next season?
It's not as
Detrimental, I don't think.
traumatizing.
Yeah. I don't think the relationships are as hard.
No.
Not that I remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, but
It's been a long time.
Well,
too.
so you've seen it?
long
we
time ago.
we
Shoot
say
the
this
whole thing.
every single time.
How
we
do
bring
you
it up.
not remember anything?
I don't remember every episode. All right, let's close this out. No one forgot to say hi. I'm Talon. I'm Jamison. I'm Christopher. Anyway.
Well,
Yeah.
traumatized. It's fine. They know who we are at this
Right.
point.
Got fucked up.
That was Serenity, and we are not okay. We lost people. We cried. Some of us cursed Joss Whedon's name. Actually, we cursed the Fox Network.
fuck
really.
Yeah, fuck
Yeah.
them.
Although he is Joss Whedon is responsible for the writing of this movie. So yes, we cursed Joss
Yeah,
Whedon's
but it
name.
wouldn't have had to happen if Fox would have allowed the show to keep going on.
That officially rounds our Firefly season here on One Season Wonder. We're taking a short summer break to cool off, collect ourselves, and give you all and us time to recover emotionally.
I gotta go to therapy.
Yeah. But don't worry. We'll be back this fall with a brand new season covering Surface, which is Jamison's pick. It's full of oceanic mystery, cryptic creatures, and a whole lot of what the hell is going on. You can stream it for free with ads on Fandango if you want to watch along. And while you wait, head to our YouTube channel, unless you're already watching us here. We've got a poll up asking what we should call our listeners, since we've got a few of you. And I have a poll. Huh?
I didn't know about
I know, because you guys never do anything with our show. You don't watch them.
I'm gonna vote though.
You don't do anything.
I want to know what the options are. Go ahead.
Are you one of the seasoned ones?
Well seasoned.
The seasonlings, the wanderers, or maybe the wonder snacks. Or if you have a better name, leave it in the comments. Cast your vote and help us make it official. Until next time, keep listening so we don't become a one season wonder ourselves. All right. I need a smoke break.
Fucking A,
I
right?
only still smoked.
Jesus Murphy.